Chapter 26:30. The three of them had vanished into thin air. No one had noticed them from the moment they'd appeared until they'd left. They were incredibly mysterious, but if Du Xiaofu had noticed them earlier, he would have recognized them as familiar faces. The man in front was Jiangchen, with whom he'd had a good relationship. They'd helped each other a lot in the past, and he possessed the body of the Golden Howler, which could devour the heavens and kill the earth. The two people behind Jiangchen were Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan, whom he'd saved from Du Xiaofu. He didn't know why they'd appeared here at a time like this. Not long after Jiangchen, Shen Yan, and Dongli Qihuang left, quite some time had passed since the demon god, Du Xiaofu, Huolei Laozu, and the others had entered the restriction. Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, and the others, as well as hundreds of Sage Realm experts from the outside world, arrived one after another. Gazing at the giant silver restriction suspended in the air, they examined it for a moment, then darted inside one by one. What is this place? Du Xiaofu and Huolei Laozu followed the demon god into the restriction. When they entered, they were both stunned. What appeared in front of them was yet another strange space. There was nothing in this space. Everything was an existence of nothingness. At first glance, it was like a dark space in the universe, only lacking the stars that adorned it. However, for Du Xiaofu and Huolei Laozu, who had extraordinary cultivation bases, the lack of light didn't affect their vision at all. What's going on? I can feel the power in my body fluctuating. My cultivation base is faintly rising. Du Xiaofu was somewhat shocked to discover that, ever since he'd stepped into this space, the celestial qi in his body had unconsciously begun to circulate faster. At the same time, the power of his primordial spirit seemed to have become even stronger. It could cover a boundless area, extending to an extremely far distance. That wasn't all. The spatial and lightning laws he'd mastered seemed to be faintly rising as well. The connection between heaven and earth became clearer and clearer, as if it could be traced. This situation made it impossible for him to remain calm. After all, after stepping into the heavenly sage realm, it was extremely difficult to advance one's strength. How much cultivation and comprehension did one have to go through before they could even make the slightest progress? However, after entering this space, everything he's understanding of the world. The power in his body's Tao, Xingxing, unconsciously, the power. Although it wasn't particularly violent, it was much faster than in the outside world. Just by standing there, he could feel his cultivation bases his in-s. If his heavenly sage realms his were, sky, the sky heavenly realm. Nai, Nilu, S Nai, S's Nilu's NNNYSS Huolei Laozu also felt that his cultivation base was constantly improving. He was originally in the complete saint realm and had mastered the lightning ultimacy. Compared to Du Xiaofu before he'd broken through to the heavenly sage realm, his overall cultivation base was not inferior. At this moment, he could clearly feel that his understanding of lightning Upanishad was about to transcend. He could sense the rhythm of heaven and earth many times more clearly. If I cultivate here, I'll save a lot of time and energy. Du Xiaofu sighed. He felt that this place was like a paradise that was hard to find in the world. It wasn't that the spiritual qi here was so abundant that it made one's hair stand on end. Instead, it was that being in this place made one feel as if a layer of shackles had been removed from their bodies and souls, making them incomparably light. I understand now. It's a suppressive force. It's a suppressive force. In this space, there's one less suppressive force. Huolei Laozu suddenly said excitedly. His round face was a little red. That's true. After Huolei Laozu's reminder, Du Xiaofu also came to the same conclusion. Many creatures, including Du Xiaofu, knew that there was always an invisible suppressive force in the world they were in. No matter how they cultivated, as long as they lived in that world, they could only be suppressed by the heavenly sage realm at most. Moreover, even the masters of the 3,000 great worlds, the dragon god, and the demon god would also be suppressed and unable to exert their strength when they arrived. Since ancient times, Du Xiaofu knew that the strongest person had only surpassed the heavenly sage realm. This person was the ancestor of the Du family, the heavenly way of the Archean age. No wonder the demon god wanted to come to this place. Just by staying here, he can continuously recover his strength. When he gets out, even if he's suppressed, he can still reach the strongest power that this world can withstand. Huolei Laozu said again. He seemed to have seen through the demon god's purpose. In such an environment, the demon god's recovery would be much faster than in the outside world. When he recovered to a certain extent and went to the outside world again, even if he was suppressed by the invisible laws of heaven and earth, the strength that he could display would definitely be at the peak of this world. Unless the heavenly way was reborn, no one would be able to stop him. Even if the masters of the 3,000 great worlds and the dragon god came personally, it would not be possible. This was because those two supreme experts would still be suppressed in this world and would not be stronger than the demon god. The demon god is recovering. Du Xiaofu suddenly narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. There, he had already found the demon god and the people of the devil religion. However, those people did not make any movements at this time. They just stood quietly in the void. Let's go and take a look. If there's a chance, let's stop them. Du Xiaofu shouted softly and moved first. After a flash of purple gold light, he disappeared from the spot. No matter what, the demon god's purpose here was to recover. As for the rest of the people of the devil religion, if they stayed for a long time, their strength would also increase. How could Du Xiaofu allow such a situation to happen so easily? It was better to make some noise. Beside him, Huolei Laozu saw this scene and did not delay any longer. He directly rushed into the distance. Du Xiaofu, you're here again. When Du Xiaofu appeared in front of the demon god and the others, the demon god's voice also sounded and entered his ears. Demon god. Du Xiaofu's pupils shrank fiercely. He looked at the demon god with a burning gaze and did not answer. He could clearly feel that the demon god's aura was also constantly strengthening at this time. In this space, a terrifying power drifted out from the demon god's body. It was much more vast than when they met in the misty space. This made Du Xiaofu feel even more pressured. If he fought with the demon god here, it would not be as easy as in the misty space. When they were there, both of them were under great pressure and suppression. It was the same for the demon god. Under such circumstances, the difference in strength between them was greatly reduced, which allowed Du Xiaofu to have the strength to fight with the demon god. Moreover, when they first fought, the demon god did not use his full strength. He did not want to continue fighting with Du Xiaofu. His purpose should be to find this place as soon as possible and recover. Therefore, Du Xiaofu truly understood at this time that he and the demon god were not on the same level in the true sense. I think you must have felt the extraordinariness of this place. The last time we fought, didn't you threaten to kill me? Even Lu Xiaoyu and Long Xian could not do it. I would like to see how you can do it. The demon god looked at Du Xiaofu with his huge demonic eyes and spoke in an indifferent tone with extreme disdain. In this space, his strength was constantly recovering. If he couldn't even defeat this human brat in front of him, then was he still a demon god? Regardless of whether I can do it or not, someone has to kill you. Du Xiaofu spoke in a low voice. His entire body suddenly exploded with a strong desire to fight. He stared fixedly at the demon god's incomparably majestic body as his own aura rose rapidly. No matter what, he could not just stand by and watch the demon god recover. He had to create some trouble for him. Boy, do you only know how to spout nonsense? The demon god's face suddenly turned serious as he looked at Du Xiaofu and spoke. His words were full of provocation. Whether or not I'm spouting nonsense, we'll know after the battle. Du Xiaofu suddenly raised his eyebrows. Then, his purple robes fluttered as if they were blown by a strong gust of wind and became perfectly straight. The aura on his body rose sharply. The invisible force in this space, under the control of the power in his body, moved along with it. In the dark space, a strong storm suddenly appeared. It swept and howled, with the power to destroy everything and kill in all directions. God-binding grip. Du Xiaofu shouted. All 10 fingers on both hands moved at the same time. The space laws were unleashed and the power of space spread out rapidly. Then, in the area in front of the demon god, the void seemed to be grabbed by a huge hand and then squeezed fiercely. Poof! Terrifying spatial folds spread out. The void was like a piece of paper that was squeezed into a ball and became wrinkled. Then, it suddenly collapsed. Poof, 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 this strange force spread out and stirred up the void. Suddenly, an even more violent spatial storm appeared in other places. Space moved everywhere. It was like the water in a big lake. After a place was suddenly emptied, the water in other places quickly flowed over and filled up the collapsed area. However, the movement caused by the spatial storm was much more terrifying than the water flow. Rumble, under the spatial shift, the area suddenly shook violently. All tangible substances were distorted and deformed in an instant. Even Huilei Laozu, who appeared beside Du Xiaofu, had to use all his cultivation to resist the distortion force. Otherwise, he felt that his body would be instantly destroyed by the spatial power of the spatial shift at any time. However, Du Xiaofu was different. Invisible waves rippled out from his body. When the spatial storm brushed past his body, it automatically avoided him and did not have any effect on him. How dare you show off such a small trick in front of me? Looking at the demon god, after a cold snort, the demon chi on his body roared like a roaring river, like a long river pouring down. The terrible force wave enveloped the people of the devil religion around him. When Du Xiaofu's attack was launched beside them, the spatial folds directly disappeared into nothingness, unable to touch these people at all. The demon god himself did not make any extra movements. The spatial folds exploded on his body, creating ripples on his skin. It was like the surface of a lake being blown by the wind, but it didn't cause any damage to him at all. It didn't even shake him a bit. Looking at this scene, Du Xiaofu felt his eyelids twitch, and the shock in his heart could not be any greater. His physical body is actually this strong. Du Xiaofu said in surprise. When they fought in the foggy space, it could be said that he was completely at a disadvantage. Even with so many attacks, none of them were able to cause any harm to the demon god. If the demon god had not used his full strength, he would have been in danger. An ant is an ant after all. No matter how strong you are just a slightly bigger ant. Before this, in the foggy space, I might have to face you directly, but after I recover, what qualifications do you have to fight with me? The demon god said loudly, his voice rumbling and shaking the void. After easily breaking Du Xiaofu's attack, he directly controlled the demon chi outside his body, and like a surging wave, it quickly spread out in all directions. Now, I don't have time to play with you. After I recover, no one can escape death, including you. The demon god said indifferently. After a pair of demonic eyes stared at Du Xiaofu, he no longer paid attention to him, as if he was looking at an ant, turning a blind eye to him. Outside his body, the surging demonic chi continued to rise and permeate the air. In this demon chi, mountains of corpses and seas of blood appeared. Demons raised their swords to kill, living creatures screamed miserably, and malicious spirits wreaked havoc. This scene was completely a scene of hell on earth. In Du Xiaofu's eyes, it overlapped with the scenes he saw in the upper reaches of the long river of time, like a projection of the past. However, if one looked carefully, the scenes seemed to be the prediction and evolution of the future in advance. Thunder martial vein, rise for me. Du Xiaofu roared loudly, and a thunder light appeared on his body. It was like a bloodline pattern, covering his body, and like a thunder net, it rushed out of his body and scattered into the sky. Then, several lights of different colors flashed out from between his eyebrows. Woo woo woo, boom boom boom, buzz buzz buzz, several spiritual thunders rushed out, embedded on the thunder net, and arranged themselves in all directions. With the support of the spiritual thunders, the power of the thunder net instantly increased by thousands of times. Swoosh! Under Du Xiaofu's control, the thunder net suddenly fell, directly covering the position of the demon god and the people of the devil religion. Boom boom boom, the thunder was roaring, and the power was vast and mighty. The thunder net, carrying a power that could suppress everything, moved brazenly. The terrifying attack fell, and in the blink of an eye, it covered the scene of mountains of corpses and seas of blood outside the demon god's body. Sizzle, the two forces, one strong and overbearing, the other evil and fierce, constantly rubbed against each other, devouring and consuming each other, and each was incomparably terrifying. However, in the end, when the energy of the thunder net was exhausted and the light dimmed, the scene outside the demon god's body still existed. In the transformation of the demon chi, its power seemed to have been consumed a lot. But then, under the control of the demon god, the demon chi continued to surge out of his body, replenishing it, and the terrible scene bloomed again. Boy, don't waste your energy. The demon god's voice sounded, shaking the void. Then, in the midst of the dense demon chi on his body, the hell-like scene on earth became more and more real, as if it had condensed into a substance, and appeared in this space. Heaven and earth are empty. Du Xiaofu's face was solemn, and the purple-gold heavenly palace appeared in his hand instantly. A sword light that penetrated the heavens and the earth was immediately formed, and it slashed down fiercely at the terrible scene of hell. As soon as such a sword light appeared, the world seemed to be silent, and only the sword stood proudly in the sky. Buzz, however, when the sword light slashed down in the end, it only produced a buzzing sound. Powerful ripples of impact spread out in all directions. After that, with a bang, the sword light was destroyed and transformed into dense talisman markings that dissipated into nothingness. It could be seen that the scene outside the demon god was as immovable as a mountain, still standing there, and was not shaken at all by Du Xiaofu's attack. The doomsday-like scene was evolving and fluctuating, and a murderous aura rushed out, and the screams and howls made one's scalp tingle. How can it be so strong? Cold sweat broke out on Du Xiaofu's forehead as he stared at this scene in a daze. He had already used all his strength, but he could not shake the power emitted by the demon god at all. That towering figure seemed to be effortlessly blocking all of his attacks. The demon god obviously does not want to make a move at this time, and he is in the midst of continuous recovery. Huolei Laozu came to Du Xiaofu's side and said solemnly. He could see that the demon god had adopted the most direct defense against Du Xiaofu's attack, and did not attack at all. Moreover, at this time, he could clearly feel that there were waves of terrifying power rippling out from the demon god's body. The aura that was originally extremely terrifying became more and more majestic and vast. In the space, there was also a vigorous energy gathering, endlessly flowing into the demon god's body, causing his power to become too strong. Can't I even stop him from recovering? Du Xiaofu mumbled to himself, and his emotions were extremely heavy. How big was the gap between his power and the demon gods? A half-step heavenly saint could be said to be 1 foot into the heavenly saint realm, but he could not even shake it. Then, when he fully recovered, just how strong would he be? Chapter 26:31. Brat, forget it. We can't stop the god fiend from recovering. In this strange space, there's no suppression from the outside world. We can't do anything to him. Why don't we take this opportunity to cultivate in peace and increase our strength? When the god fiend comes out, we'll have more energy to deal with him. Huolei Laozu turned to look at Du Xiaofu and said softly. He knew very well that the main reason why Du Xiaofu couldn't do anything to the god fiend was because of this space. In this space, without the suppression from the outside world, the God Fiend had recovered a lot in his realm. The God Fiend's original strength was far beyond the heavenly sage realm. Even if he recovered 10% of his strength here, he was still much stronger than Du Xiaofu. If they were in the outside world, the God Fiend wouldn't be able to completely ignore Du Xiaofu's attack. I understand, Grand Elder. Du Xiaofu retracted his gaze, took a deep breath, and said. He knew very well that the God Fiend in this space was not someone he could easily deal with. What he could do now was to do as Huilei Laozu said. Take advantage of this space, without the suppression from the outside world, to break through earlier and do his best to increase his strength to deal with the situation after the God Fiend completely recovered. Du Xiaofu didn't think too much. After calming down his emotions, he sat down cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began to regulate his breathing and cultivate. Time was everything. Only by using all the time he had to increase his cultivation could he have more strength to fight against the God Fiend. The aura on Du Xiaofu's body gradually converged, and waves of invisible waves were emitted. It was extraordinary. Seeing this scene, Huilei Laozu also breathed a sigh of relief. What he was most worried about now was that Du Xiaofu would be too impulsive after seeing the God Fiend's strength and disregard everything. However, this brat's current performance made him feel more at ease. At the very least, in the face of such a strong enemy, he could still collect his chaotic thoughts and calm down to cultivate. This made Huilei Laozu's greatest worry disappear. Brat, cultivate well. We still need you to deal with the God Fiend. Huilei Laozu whispered to himself. He looked deeply at the purple-robed young man beside him, his gaze sweeping across that angular face with an unfathomable charm. However, you can't bear all this alone. Grand Elder, I have to do something. Huilei Laozu thought, his gaze from Du Xiaofu. However, it didn't take long before another wave of fluctuations appeared in the space, attracting his attention. They're all here. Huilei Laozu turned around and saw a large group of figures in the void behind him. There were hundreds of people. These people were Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaoyao, Lei Tianhuang, Zhen Qingchun, and so on. There were also experts from the Taoist school, Confucian school, School of Yin-Yang, School of Moism, Golden-Winged Great Rock Clan, Phoenix Clan, Human Divine Temple, Beast Alliance, and other experts from the 3 continents Kyushu region. Grand Elder. Senior. After these people arrived, they all greeted Huilei Laozu. They also noticed Du Xiaofu, who was sitting cross-legged, and the strange scene caused by the God Fiend not far away. What's going on? What's wrong with the Rock Emperor? The God Fiend's aura is so terrifying, and it seems to be getting stronger. It's not just the God Fiend. The Rock Emperor is the same. Even those people from the devil religion beside the God Fiend are the same. Soon, everyone realized that this place was unusual. They couldn't help but be surprised and discuss it. It's good that you're all here. The space here isn't suppressed, and it's the best for cultivation. It's many times faster than in the outside world. Moreover, it's much easier to comprehend the profound laws here. Huilei Laozu looked at everyone and said slowly. Then, he pointed at Du Xiaofu and said, so, your next task is to do the same as him. Do your best to break through here. After Huilei Laozu finished speaking, everyone was very surprised. After carefully sensing it, it was just as he said. This place was very mysterious. Everyone understood Huilei Laozu's words. This kind of environment was perfect for cultivation and breakthroughs. At this time, Du Xiaofu, the people from the devil religion, and the God Fiend were all improving. This was why their auras were constantly increasing. But Grand Ancestor, what about the God Fiend? Du Xiaoyao stood out and couldn't help but ask after glancing at the God Fiend in the distance. His meaning was very clear. His thoughts coincided with Du Xiaofu's. They both wanted to stop the God Fiend from recovering. Don't touch the God Fiend. No one can do anything to him here. After Huolei Laozu explained, he didn't say anything else. None of those who came here were weak. It wouldn't take long for them to figure out the key points. Don't delay any longer. Everyone, cultivate. Huolei Laozu's eyes shot out lightning and fire as he swept his gaze over the experts from the tricontinent Kyushu region. Yes, Grand Ancestor. Everyone didn't say anything. They all sat down cross-legged on the ground and began to regulate their breathing. With hundreds of people cultivating at the same time in the same place, the scene was extremely spectacular. The vast auras were invisibly intertwined with each other, triggering an invisible force that caused the void to tremble. Only Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Du Xiaoyao, and the rest of the people from the desolate country didn't do as they were told. Instead, they gathered around Huolei Laozu. You all go ahead and cultivate. I'm going out for a while. Huolei Laozu looked at them and spoke softly. Then, he suddenly looked at Lei Tianhuang in the crowd and said, "Young man, come with me." Me? Grand Ancestor, where are we going? Lei Tianhuang was a little puzzled and asked honestly. You'll know when you get there. Huolei Laozu said softly. He didn't explain further. After glancing at the purple-robed youth beside him, he immediately flew into the distance. He left in an extremely straightforward manner without any hesitation. Grand Ancestor, Senior, Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Du Xiaoyao, and the rest wanted to ask him clearly. However, Huolei Laozu left too quickly and they couldn't stop him. Lei Tianhuang was puzzled when he saw the situation. However, he didn't think too much about it. Instead, he bowed to Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, and Du Xiaoyao and said, Grand Master, Martial Uncle, I'll go first. Then, his body turned into a flash of lightning and flashed in the void. In an instant, he traveled thousands of miles and disappeared. Seeing this, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Zhen Qingchun, Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaobao, and the rest were very puzzled. Grand Ancestor must have something important to do for leaving at this time. Du Tingxian raised the wine jar in his hand and took a sip of the strong wine. Let's all cultivate. The demon god is recovering quickly. We can't delay any longer. Zhen Qingchun said. He didn't pursue the matter too deeply because of Huolei Laozu's departure. Everyone was on the same side. If he didn't want to talk about it, he naturally had his reasons. There was no need to pursue the matter. Let's begin. Everyone looked at the demon god not far away. Then, they all sat cross-legged in the void and began to regulate their breathing. Soon, the area became strangely peaceful. No one spoke. Everyone was in a strange state of cultivation. Only waves of energy were constantly fluctuating like a storm, raging and sweeping. In the distance, two figures, one old and one young, were moving quickly. In the blink of an eye, they had crossed an endless distance. Grand Ancestor, where are we going? Lei Tianhuang asked Huolei Laozu. His naive expression was very serious. Young man, let me ask you a question. Huolei Laozu didn't answer him. Instead, he said this. Grand Ancestor, what's the question? Lei Tianhuang was stunned for a moment and said. Are you afraid of death? Huolei Laozu said. When he said this, his old eyes couldn't help but look deeply at Lei Tianhuang. He stared at him closely. Lei Tianhuang was stunned by Huolei Laozu's question. For a long time, he didn't say anything. Then, he fell into deep thought. After a long time, he replied very seriously, that depends on how you die. He. Interesting. Then how do you die so that you won't be afraid? Huolei Laozu laughed and continued to ask. If it's a worthy death, then I'm not afraid. What I'm afraid of is that there's no value in dying. This time, Lei Tianhuang didn't hesitate and blurted out. If you die while fighting against the demon god, is there any value in dying? Huolei Laozu asked again. Of course there is. The demon god is cruel and wants to slaughter countless lives. If I can stop his tyrannical actions, even if I have to die 1,000 times or 10,000 times, I'm willing. Lei Tianhuang said. There was an indescribable seriousness on his simple and honest face. Good boy. I know, ha 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 ha. Huolei Laozu suddenly laughed and reached out to stroke Lei Tianhuang's head. It was as if he was stroking his own descendant. His old eyes were full of affection. Ancestor, why did you ask those questions just now? Lei Tianhuang's face couldn't help but turn red when Huolei Laozu stroked his head. After he had truly awakened his spiritual intelligence, he had the appearance of a young man. When had he ever received such treatment? For a moment, he was not used to it. However, he also knew that Huolei Laozu was born from the same origin as him. There was naturally a close connection between them. Therefore, he didn't refuse to avoid it. Ancestor wants to bring you to do something big. Huolei Laozu's expression suddenly showed a sense of heroism. He held his head high and puffed out his chest as he hurried along. What kind of big thing? Lei Tianhuang was puzzled again. Something big. Huolei Laozu said. What is something big? Lei Tianhuang was confused. You will know. Huolei Laozu said. Lei Tianhuang stared blankly at Huolei Laozu, not understanding what was going on. Ha 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 ha. Looking at Lei Tianhuang's appearance, Huolei Laozu once again laughed out loud. In such a situation, the two figures quickly moved, piercing through the boundless void and finally disappearing without a trace. The bold and unrestrained laughter gradually faded away and vanished into nothingness. In the end, it could no longer be heard. Just like the two figures that had disappeared into the distance. In the void, time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. For cultivators above the sage realm, it was not rare for them to go into seclusion for thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years. This short 1 year was truly insignificant. During this period, whether it was Du Xiaofu's side or the devil religion's side, everyone was in the midst of cultivation and did not make any movements. The two sides, who were enemies of life and death, quietly faced each other, each improving themselves. Such a scene was too calm, like the calm before the storm. It was strangely strange. Everyone's aura was constantly improving. That vast aura fluctuation was too flabbergasting. If such a situation happened in the outside world, it would be inconceivable. But in this space, everything was so natural. It was only because there was no suppression force in this place like the outside world. Everyone's bodies seemed to have broken free from some invisible shackles, and thus became lighter. Cultivating while sitting cross-legged, the speed was also much, much faster. It was likely that staying here for a year was at least more than dozens or hundreds of years in the outside world. And all of this was not caused by the acceleration of time, but by the space. Suddenly, there were waves of vast aura, causing the world to shake. I've broken through. In the crowd of the tricontinent Kyushu region, Lei Yang slowly opened his eyes. 2 rays of light condensed and directly pierced through the void. The aura on his body was originally only at the late-stage sage realm, far from the peak. However, at this moment, his cultivation was already at the sage realm perfection. This step was like stepping over a small realm. Such an improvement was too terrifying. They're still cultivating. Lei Yang looked around and found that everyone was still cultivating. He also found that the aura on many people's bodies had changed more than his. This caused the joy that had just risen in his heart to quickly fade away. Master, Lei Yang's gaze looked at the front of the crowd. There was a purple-robed figure sitting there, also in the midst of cultivation. However, unlike the others, the aura on his body was extremely restrained and did not leak out at all. If one did not look with the naked eye and only used the power of the primordial spirit to spy, one would not be able to discover his existence. It was as if he was a piece of nothingness. This was terrifying. Lei Yang was not an ignorant person. He knew that this was a manifestation of his master's compatibility with the world. It was a profound trace of the great Tao, as if he was one with the world. When he was first subdued by Du Xiaofu, his cultivation was at the late-stage sage realm, while his master was only at the middle-stage sage realm. Now, with the help of the uniqueness of this space, he had just broken through to the sage realm perfection. Looking at his master, he had already surpassed him and left him far behind. Now, even if there were 100 or 1,000 of him, he would not be able to defeat his master. Since I've broken through in the aspect of beast energy, I'll continue to comprehend the power of ultimacy. Lei Yang thought to himself after a moment of silence. If he was only surpassed by his master, it was understandable. After all, in this world, no one could match his speed of advancement. However, due to the removal of the ubiquitous suppression during the ancient war, many people left him in the dust on the path of cultivation. This made Lei Yang feel even more pressured at this time. After thinking for a while in his heart, Lei Yang calmed his mind and entered the mysterious state of comprehension once more. Time slowly flowed by, constantly fading away. Day after day passed, the scene in this space was still the same as before. No one knew how long had passed, and no one cared about this problem. On a certain day, Du Xiaofu, who was in front of everyone, started to have an inexplicable aura rising from his body. Walala, streaks of lightning power spiraled, like slender snakes, slithering around his body. Purple gold lightning curled up, releasing a vast majesty, like the might of heaven. Buzz buzz buzz, inside the space, strange undulations also rippled out. The void in front of Du Xiaofu constantly changed shape, presenting all kinds of strange patterns. At the same time, in his mind, there was similarly a figure sitting cross-legged. It was exactly the same as Du Xiaofu himself. This was his primordial spirit. At this time, on this primordial spirit, there were mysterious lines glowing, as if the patterns of the great Tao were engraved on it, ever-changing and evolving into all things. Among these lines, there were a few that were the brightest and had an extremely vast aura. Those trajectories seemed to explain some kind of law and trace in this world, indescribable. Rumble, in the outside world, there was suddenly a sudden clap of thunder. Chi chi chi, the surrounding space was constantly distorted, as if it was being wantonly kneaded by some kind of huge force. Two completely different auras descended, instantly suppressing the primordial spirits of all the living beings here. Among the people in the surroundings, a considerable number of people were also alarmed by such a commotion. Of course, there were still many people beside Du Xiaofu who were still sitting cross-legged and did not move. What happened? Why is it so scary? It's the Rock Emperor, the aura on his body is changing. This is too terrifying. Is the Rock Emperor about to break through? If he breaks through again, wouldn't he be a true heavenly saint? After being alarmed, everyone could clearly feel the terrifying aura. All of them looked at the purple-robed young man who was sitting cross-legged in the void as if they were looking at a deity. He was so high and mighty, unreachable and untouchable. Everyone's primordial spirits were trembling, they could not help but tremble. Hurry up and leave this place, as far away as possible. Many people moved instantly and hid far away, afraid that they would be shaken by the invisible aura emitted from Du Xiaofu's body and be injured. However, things were far from that simple. After Du Xiaofu's body exploded, the aura of Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoba, Little Qilin, Du Yunlong, and the rest of the Du family's experts who were beside him also skyrocketed in an instant. Boom boom boom, bolts of lightning instantly exploded, and a bright lightning rushed out from everyone's body, piercing through the 9 heavens. The ferocious and domineering lightning roared and echoed in all directions. Blinding rays of light appeared, piercing the eyes of many experts to the point that they felt pain in their eyes. Thunder Martial Vein. This is the Thunder Martial Vein of the Du family. There were experts who cried out loudly, trembling endlessly. They could all see that at this moment, the thunder-marshaled veins of the Du family's people were all triggered and rushed into the void. The bolts of lightning slashed horizontally and quickly gathered together with the lightning energy emitted from Du Xiaofu's body, condensing into a vast and terrifying sea of lightning. It's fine if it's just the Du family's people, but the dragon's girl and little Qilin also have such a vast amount of lightning. Some experts said doubtfully. The dragon's girl and little Qilin were born because of the Rock Emperor, so it's natural for them to have such a vast amount of lightning energy. Someone explained at the side. Everyone retreated to an extremely far place, trembling with fear as they watched the scene unfold over there. After the thunder-marshaled veins of the Du family's people appeared, the boundless and terrifying pressure in this space became even more vast. There were no weaklings here, but everyone felt a strong sense of fear and uneasiness in their hearts. It was as if they were facing a high and mighty god, and they wanted to crawl in front of him. In the sea of lightning, bolts of lightning of different shapes flashed, crisscrossing and carrying with them the power of destruction. Among them, there were many purple-gold lightning bolts, which were ferocious and filled with the power of heaven. Look! All of a sudden, someone shouted again. Looking in the direction of his finger, they saw Yi Piaoling, Qian Guyu, Zi Xian, Jialo Jueyu, and the others not far away from Du Xiaofu and the others. Extremely terrifying auras rushed out from their bodies. The devil religion is also making a move. Soon, everyone saw that on the side of the devil religion, the auras of the 8 devil emperors began to soar. Vast amounts of devil qi surged out, connecting with the auras of the devil gods, dense and steamy. The terrifying fluctuations of power, the ferocious and bloody aura spread out, and the movement caused by it was even greater than that of Du Xiaofu and his family. Half-step heavenly saints. Their auras are close to that of half-step heavenly saints, and they are still increasing rapidly. How could there be such a terrifying change? How long have we been cultivating here? Everyone was shocked, and they were almost speechless. Such a situation was simply unimaginable in the outside world. In this space, without the suppression of heaven and earth, those people could break through so quickly. Many people found it inconceivable. Although they had also improved greatly, compared to Du Xiaofu and the devil emperors of the devil religion, they were still far behind. Freaks, they are all freaks. The improvement of the people of the devil religion is even more terrifying. When they come out of seclusion, I wonder how strong they will be. We can't delay any longer. Let's continue to cultivate and comprehend. We can't be defeated by the people of the devil religion. That's right. The stronger we are, the more likely we will be to defeat the people of the devil religion. We can't rely on the Rock Emperor and the others for everything. We have to bear some of the responsibility. Looking at the situation over there, Xiao Chen saw that it continued. That horrifying lightning fluctuation and that surging demonic qi did not seem to have any intention of stopping. After waiting for a long time, the people in the distance no longer looked at them. They all found a place to sit down cross-legged and cultivate on their own. Everyone felt as if there was a huge mountain pressing down on their hearts. In this space, whether it was the people of the Rock Emperor's side or the devil gods and devil emperors of the devil religion, all of them were improving rapidly. If the living beings of this world could not accumulate more power, they would face an even more terrifying situation after the devil gods completely recovered. No one wanted to see such a situation. Time continued to pass, but no one cared about the passage of time. Everyone's goal was the same. They wanted to break through to a higher level in this place where there was no suppression and obtain more power. This scene continued. The lightning radiance emitted by the people of the Du family and the vast devil qi of the devil religion were two completely different colors that reflected each other's brilliance. It was a terrifying scene. At the same time, not only in this space, but also in the outside world, the weather began to change because of what was happening here. In one of the realms of the 3 continents Kyushu, a strange scene appeared high in the sky. Countless living beings walked out of their residences and looked up at the sky. At this moment, the azure sky and the clouds that filled the sky were separated from the middle. One side flashed with lightning, bright and dazzling, while the other side was filled with scarlet clouds, dark and gloomy with a fishy smell. The scene on both sides was vast and had the power to destroy the world. The lightning and the red clouds constantly collided and rubbed against each other. The violent collisions caused the heavens and earth to tremble violently. In such a collision, endless energy was shattered and annihilated. At the same time, a portion of the shattered energy formed a destructive storm that swept through everything. What happened? Why is it like this? This is too terrifying. Is the end of the world coming? The devil religion. It must be the devil religion. The devil religion's massacre has begun. Run. Where can we run to? If the devil gods don't die, no one in this world can escape. Countless living beings were in a panic and trembling. Among the weaker living beings, there was a sudden uproar. All of them fled for their lives, but they were like headless flies. They did not know where they could really hide. Is the great calamity about to begin? In the sky above the stone city in the desolate country, an old man floated in the air with a worried expression. Is that lightning radiance because of him? Beside the old man stood a beautiful woman. She was also looking up at the sky, her beautiful eyes rippling with unconcealable emotions. The woman's gaze seemed to be able to see through the boundless space and see a certain figure. In today's world, other than that kid, I can't think of anyone else who can compete with the devil religion. The old man replied. After a long while, he let out a long sigh. I hope that after this, the scenery in this world will remain the same as before. Is this possible? Chapter 2632. In the Kyushu realm of the three continents, strange phenomena continued to appear. Other than the fear of many creatures, there were also many people who were extremely excited. Lord Demon God is recovering quickly. He must have found the item to recover. Our devil religion is destined to rise. How many years have we waited? It's been too long since Lord Demon God left and went to the demon realm to find the item to recover. Keek keek. Isn't that so? Can we finally start killing? Gather all the members of our devil religion and wait for Lord Demon God to return. Be prepared to kill at any time. The members of the devil religion began to gather. Each of them rubbed their fists and prepared to attack. This commotion was noticed by all the living beings in the area. After the initial panic, many of them gradually calmed down and began to plan everything. The school of vertical and horizontal. The strange phenomena between heaven and earth naturally attracted their attention. Just as the members of the school of vertical and horizontal were restless, a terrifying commotion came from within the school of vertical and horizontal. Buzz, a terrifying wave spread out and rushed in all directions. In an instant, it swept across the entire territory of the school of vertical and horizontal. In this moment, everyone felt a terrifying pressure suddenly spread out around them. It filled every inch of space, causing all the members of the school of vertical and horizontal to be shocked. They found it difficult to breathe and were about to stop. This feeling was as if a terrifying person had been sleeping for countless years and had suddenly awakened. The Forbidden Land, the commotion is coming from the Forbidden Land. Soon, someone realized that the commotion in the entire school of vertical and horizontal came from their Forbidden Land. Then, under everyone's gaze, a figure rushed out from the endless mountains. Like a firework, it soared into the sky. At a certain moment, the figure that had soared into the sky abruptly stopped in midair, as if it had suddenly been stuck. Ancestor, the ancestor of our school of vertical and horizontal has awakened and broken out of seclusion. An expert from the school of vertical and horizontal shouted excitedly. Greetings, ancestor. Greetings, ancestor. Everyone knelt down in an instant and kowtowed to the figure like a tsunami. Has the great calamity finally arrived? The old man did not pay any attention to the greetings of the younger generation. Instead, he stared blankly at the sky, at the lightning and red clouds that each occupied half of the sky. The devil god has recovered, and the great calamity has arrived. The 9 cauldrons have yet to be assembled, and the 9 families will not come out. Isn't this situation perfect? The old man stared at the sky as he muttered to himself. Pass the order. Quickly contact the Realm Master clan and tell them that the devil god has recovered. After watching for a long time, the old man suddenly spoke again. His voice was loud, and it spread through the entire house of vertical and horizontal. Yes, ancestor. After that, without saying anything else, numerous figures moved through the air and directly charged into the Zongheng family. The suppression of heaven and earth has been removed. As long as we can leave this place, it doesn't matter if this world is destroyed. This time, my school of vertical and horizontal will not be controlled by anyone. The old man's eyes flashed as he felt the terrifying power in the world. However, he was looking forward to something else. Similar scenes were playing out at almost the same time in legalism, Buddhism, and other places. Many ancestors who had been in seclusion for many years came out and sighed at the sky. Orders were issued one after another, and the entire family responded. Not only the 9 great families, but in various places in this world, the various sects, families, and other forces all made their moves. Desolate country. Stone city. Those who strike first gain the advantage, those who strike later suffer. In the huge square outside the palace, Morong Yorua said softly. The people of the devil religion are waiting for the devil god to return and sweep through this world with an unstoppable force. As for us, we can't wait any longer. On the side, Medicine Saint Yi Wuming said in a deep voice, order all the disciples of the desolate country to declare war on the devil religion. Ancient Heaven Sect. Disciples of the Ancient Heaven Sect, the devil god has recovered, and the great calamity has arrived. Are you ready? Venerable Golden Rock, Sima Taxing, Gu Qingyang, and other experts stood in the air and shouted loudly, shaking the world. We're ready. Below, countless disciples raised their swords and sabers, their auras like rainbows. Tianwu Academy. Tianwu Academy, prepare for war. Bai Mingfeng stood in front of the main hall and looked at the many students below as he spoke loudly. Fight! 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 Teng Yimo, Zhang Yishan, Huang Xiaofeng, Yu Yu, and the others all shouted loudly. Sacred Palace. The majestic main hall opened with a creaking sound as Lin Feng walked out and stood under the tall and wide door. He faced the countless disciples in the square and said loudly, the devil religion has made its move. In order to protect the safety of the human race, what should the disciples of the sacred palace do? We will not hesitate to drink blood on the battlefield. We will follow the human emperor and senior brother Lin Feng to slaughter the gods and subdue the demons. Drink blood on the battlefield. Slaughter the gods and subdue the demons. Drink blood on the battlefield. Slaughter the gods and subdue the demons. Many young experts shouted loudly, their hearts filled with hot-bloodedness. Follow me and kill, Lin Feng shouted and immediately charged out. Such scenes were playing out one after another in various parts of the world. The people of the major forces and the devil religion soon clashed. Not long after the strange phenomenon appeared, this world was suddenly engulfed in the flames of war. With my blood, strengthen my Kyushu. Eliminate the devil religion. Kill the demonic god. Countless creatures howled and charged into the battlefield with murderous intent. While the people of the devil religion were waiting for the return of the demonic god, a great war began. He. Let's kill. Many experts of the devil religion laughed sinisterly. After being caught off guard at the beginning, the people of the devil religion reacted quickly and began to fight against the creatures of this world. Kill, sabers and swords collided, blood and fire mixed, and a song of death suddenly sounded in this world. Countless creatures fought with all their might with bloodshot eyes. Almost at every moment, whether it was the people of the devil religion or the experts of the other major forces, someone was bleeding or dying at any time. The weapons roared and shattered everything. Hot blood spilled and dyed the earth red. Heads rolled and piled up into mountains. All the creatures began to go crazy. Their hair danced in the wind, and the weapons in their hands glowed as they began to fight for a long time. Kill, the creatures roared, and the weapons were boiling. Terrifying attacks were launched one after another like a tsunami. The mountains were breaking, the rivers were drying up, the void was shattering, and the earth was shaking violently. The forests that were full of vitality and the majestic buildings were all reduced to ashes in the terrifying collision. Everywhere, the broken walls were soaked in scarlet blood. Chapter 26:33. A great battle broke out in this world. Above the sky, the sea of lightning in the red clouds, each occupying half of the sky, also began to collide fiercely. Two completely opposite forces of energy roared and surged, shaking the entire universe. Expanse after expanse of space was being annihilated and collapsed. Terrifying energy swept across the sky and earth. Kill. Below, countless creatures were shouting and fighting. Domain, Venerable, and Emperor-level experts were all involved in the battle. Heaven and earth were overturned, mountains and rivers were in mourning. Indomitable bodies fell from the sky and crashed to the ground. Corpses piled up like mountains, and scarlet blood flowed like a river. However, Du Xiaofu and the people of the devil religion, who were in the strange space, were unaware of this doomsday-like scene. At this moment, each of them was at the most critical moment. In this space, no one knew exactly how many years had passed. The thunderbolts that were emitted from the bodies of Du Xiaofu and the other members of the Du clan gathered into a sea of lightning that permeated the sky. The demonic aura that was emitted by the 8 great demon emperors and the rest occupied a spot. Their auras were vast and mighty, and it seemed as though they were trying to compete with each other. The two auras were vast and boundless, majestic and magnificent. For a moment, it seemed that they were evenly matched. However, if one looked carefully, one would be able to see that although the sea of lightning was incomparably ferocious, its overall aura was slightly inferior to the devil chi released by the dozens of people of the devil religion. Looking at the devil god, other than the scene of hell that had condensed around his body, there were no overly terrifying fluctuations being released. All his aura seemed to be restrained, and it was not as vast and terrifying as Du Xiaofu, the 8 great demon emperors, and the others. However, if Du Xiaofu were to wake up at this moment, with his cultivation, he would definitely be able to discover that the devil god's aura had risen to an extremely terrifying level. In the distance, numerous living beings with slightly weaker cultivations had retreated a long time ago, and they sat down cross-legged to cultivate while ignoring the ceaseless passage of time. After an unknown period of time, a heart-palpitating movement suddenly came from the direction of the devil religion. Buzz buzz buzz, with the 8 great devil emperors leading the devil religion, an even more vast devil chi fluctuation suddenly surged out of the bodies of the dozens of people from the devil religion. Under the vast expanse of demonic chi, the void trembled. Rumble, demonic chi surged and exploded with a thunderous roar. A vast aura circulated, shuttling back and forth among the devil religion crowd, wreaking havoc. At the same time, the strength of those dozens of people was rapidly increasing, and their auras became more and more terrifying. Not long after this scene appeared, all of a sudden, boom was heard, and the terrifying might of lightning spread out. Everyone from the Du family, the sea of lightning that was intertwined together suddenly exploded, exploding into a ball of brilliant light that scattered in all directions. Bolts of lightning struck and swept across everything. Similar to the situation on the devil religion side, Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaojing, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoba, Du Xiaolin, Little Xingxing, Du Yunlong, and the others' auras also skyrocketed rapidly. Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaohuang, Shen Qingchen, Yi Piaoling, Zi Xian, Jialo Jueyu, and the others also had a huge fluctuation. Breakthrough. The Rock Emperor and the others are about to break through. What a terrifying aura. What a terrifying power. Are they about to break through to the heavenly saint realm? The aura on the devil religion side is even more terrifying than that of the Rock Emperor and the others. In the distance, many experts had long been alarmed. Hundreds of people came out of their closed-door cultivation and looked at the scene in fear. No one doubted that if they were in the center of that energy, they would be crushed into ashes in an instant. Under everyone's gaze, this scene did not last for long. Soon, they all saw that whether it was the devil religion side, the Du family side, Zi Xian, Jialo Jueyu, or the others, the boundless aura around them suddenly shrank and rushed into their bodies. In the next moment, almost everyone opened their eyes at the same time. Qi La, numerous gazes and auras penetrated the void as if they were real. Everyone's aura was restrained, and it was difficult to see any fluctuations outside their bodies. However, each of them was just sitting there, but they gave people a feeling that they were one with this space. Xiaofu. Brother. Boss. Dad. Rock Emperor. Du Xiaojing, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoba, Du Xiaolin, Little Xingxing, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoyao, Yi Piaoling, Jialo Jueyu, and the others quickly gathered around Du Xiaofu's side. Boss, I still can't see through your strength. You should be in the saint stage, right? Du Xiaoyao walked up and looked at Du Xiaofu with a burning gaze, and asked hopefully. In his perception, the aura on his boss's body was much more restrained than before. Even with the powerful primordial spirit of the red-bone horse monkey, he could not see through it. That's right. Du Xiaofu smiled and nodded. Saint stage. Everyone was slightly taken aback, but they weren't too surprised. They all knew that Du Xiaofu had already reached the half-step heavenly saint stage, and he was only a step away from the real heavenly saint stage. It was not surprising that he had broken through to the heavenly saint stage now. You're not bad either. You're actually a half-step heavenly saint. Du Xiaofu stared at Du Xiaoyao and could not help but say with some surprise. Although Du Xiaoyao looked very ordinary at this moment, she could not hide from Du Xiaofu's perception. They've all improved a lot. As he said that, Du Xiaofu naturally looked at the group of people around him. His primordial spirit spied on their auras, and he could not help but be shocked. These people's auras were all restrained, but they could not escape from Du Xiaofu's perception. Half-step heavenly saint stage. So many half-step heavenly saints. The situation that Du Xiaofu saw with his primordial spirit shocked him more and more. Under his perception, he found that Du Xiaojing, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoba, Du Xiaolin, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoyao, Yi Piaoling, Jialo Jueyu, Zi Xian, Du Xiaohuang, and the others had all stepped into the half-step heavenly saint stage. This kind of improvement is too terrifying. Du Xiaofu murmured, and the shock in his heart was indescribable. All of this was caused by the uniqueness of this space. Here, everyone did not have that kind of suppressive force, as if they had broken free from some kind of shackle, and broke free from the invisible shackles between heaven and earth. In addition, the people around him were all extraordinary people. Naturally, this kind of improvement was much more abnormal than in the outside world. However, such a large-scale improvement, no matter how one thought about it, was unbelievable. It was like a dream. Dad, I'm not slower than you. Just as Du Xiaofu was shocked, a little girl's voice rang in his ears. Little Xingxing, Du Xiaofu looked in the direction of the voice. When his gaze landed on little Xingxing, his heart could not help but tremble violently. Heavenly saint stage. Under the detection of his primordial spirit, he found that little Xingxing had already stepped into the heavenly saint stage. Vaguely, Du Xiaofu could feel that the little body that looked only 12 or 13 years old was constantly resonating with some kind of power between heaven and earth. The rhythm that Du Xiaofu felt while he was in a trance caused him to involuntarily feel a little apprehensive at this moment. After little Xingxing received the inheritance left behind by her biological father, the dragon god, in the dragon world, she had advanced rapidly. At this time, she had even stepped into the heavenly saint stage. This made Du Xiaofu feel extremely shocked. At the same time that he was shocked, he was also very happy. There are so many half-step heavenly saints, plus the two heavenly saints, Xiaofu and little Xingxing. I wonder if they can deal with the upcoming calamity. Sacred Array Child Jin Qingchun suddenly said. As soon as these words came out, the hearts of the people around him suddenly sank, and they instantly woke up from their excitement. If they wanted to deal with the calamity, they would have to face the demon god and the followers of the devil religion. What kind of cultivation realm are the people of the devil religion in now? Du Xiaofu said softly. He turned and looked in the direction of the people of the devil religion. As soon as he looked around, his gaze collided with two gazes opposite him. Du Xiaofu. Among the 8 demon emperors, the great demon emperor's deep and hoarse voice rang out. The first thing he did was to look at the purple-robed figure across from him. Great Demon Emperor. Du Xiaofu naturally felt the great demon emperor's gaze and could not help but look at the petite figure. At this time, the great demon emperor was very different from before. The demon chi that usually surrounded his body was no longer there, and his true appearance was revealed. It was a short and delicate person, who looked like a woman. However, his face was completely pale, and there was no trace of blood, so it was impossible to tell whether he was a man or a woman. A strange pattern was branded on half of his pale face. It twisted and turned as if it was drawn by a brush, and it was indescribably strange. 2 ink-black eyeballs were embedded in his pupils, and there was no distinction between the pupils and the whites of his eyes. They looked dark and deep. You've really reached the heavenly saint realm. The great demon emperor looked at Du Xiaofu, and there was not much fluctuation in his tone. It seemed that he was not too surprised by this. Before entering this place, the purple-robed young man was already a half-step heavenly saint. However, because he had just grasped a small amount of the true meaning of the laws, he had not stepped into the heavenly saint realm in one go. After a long period of continuous comprehension, everything was just a matter of time. Is he also a heavenly saint? Looking at the great demon emperor, Du Xiaofu was shocked. Although he had been mentally prepared, he still could not help but feel a little shocked when he saw this scene. Before entering the foggy space, Du Xiaofu had fought 9 great demon emperors alone with the strength of a half-step heavenly saint, and he had not been at a disadvantage. Among them was the great demon emperor. At that time, the great demon emperor was only at the peak of the consummate saint realm. However, at this time, in this space without any suppression, the great demon emperor had also stepped into the heavenly saint realm after an unknown period of time. He was not inferior to Zhou Bao at all. However, just as Du Xiaofu was shocked, this feeling suddenly became more intense. Second demon emperor, fourth demon emperor, fifth demon emperor. He glanced at the lineup of the devil religion and was shocked to find that, except for the great demon emperor, the remaining 7 demon emperors had also reached the heavenly saint realm. 8 heavenly saints. How could there be so many of them? Du Xiaofu's eyes became extremely deep, and the seriousness in his heart had never been deeper than at this moment. The 8 demon emperors had all reached the heavenly saint realm. In the foggy space, if he had not killed the 3 demon emperors, they would have been 9 heavenly saints now. This kind of strength was too terrifying when compared to his own side. Du Xiaofu, you are no longer qualified to be arrogant in front of us. The 9 demon emperor stepped out and looked at Du Xiaofu with his cold eyes. He was overbearing. Early on in the Snow Spirit Mountain, he was killed by Du Xiaofu. However, a trace of his devil spirit escaped and was finally revived by the secret technique of the Lord Demon God. He had long hated Du Xiaofu to the core. Previously, Du Xiaofu was one step ahead of everyone and had stepped into the half-step heavenly saint realm, leaving the other demon emperors far behind. Now, in this space, they had all improved greatly. The distance between them and Du Xiaofu was rapidly narrowing until they were almost the same. Under such circumstances, the 8 demon emperors no longer had any fear in their hearts when facing the purple-robed young man. Is that so? Du Xiaofu's voice was cold. After glancing at the 9 demon emperors, he glanced at the rest of the people of the devil religion. There don't seem to be many half-step heavenly saints. In the lineup of the devil religion, except for the demon god and the 8 demon emperors, there were dozens of people left. Although all of them had improved tremendously, they were not that terrifying. Among them, there were only about 10 people who had reached the half-step heavenly saint realm, which was not much different from his side. Among these 10 people, the ones that Du Xiaofu was most familiar with were Moksha and Mo Lingzi, which surprised him a little. It should be known that the cultivation of these 2 people was not particularly strong before, but they had improved so much all of a sudden. How could it not be impressive? However, after thinking about it, it was understandable. After all, in this place where there was no suppression, and with the help of the demon god, it was not too unbelievable that the people of the devil religion could improve so much. The demon god still hasn't made a move. In the end, Du Xiaofu's eyes fixed on the demon god's body. He saw that the figure, which was taller than a mountain, was still standing there quietly. His aura fluctuated slowly. Although it was not vast and terrifying, it was still very vigorous. With a single glance, Du Xiaofu was able to detect that the interior of that body definitely contained the most terrifying energy. It was definitely not something that the current him could shake. When we were in the primordial age, we had already far surpassed the saint realm. How can you, Du Xiaofu, be compared to us? It's just that we were suppressed in this world, and we were sealed for countless years. Only now did we recover in this space. Today is the day of your death. This place will also be your burial ground. Suddenly, the second demon emperor stepped out from the crowd of the devil religion and rushed towards Du Xiaofu. Chapter 26-34. The second demon emperor took a step forward and immediately broke away from the devil religion's formation. He was now dozens of feet away from Du Xiaofu. He waved his hand in the air, and a strange aura came out. In an instant it exploded in front of Du Xiaofu. The space in the air suddenly exploded, and fragments flew in all directions. Immediately after, a huge demonic claw stretched out horizontally, aiming at Du Xiaofu's body and fiercely clawed down. On this demonic claw, there were dense black scales that emitted a chilling light. The sharp nails on the front of the 5 fingers pierced the air, carrying a peerless and sharp edge, as if they could pierce through everything. Even the current Du Xiaofu did not dare to be careless in the face of such an attack. It's very strong. It has a kind of space power. Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly narrowed as he made his move. His purple robe fluttered, and his figure retreated at the same time. You want to compete with the law of space? I can do that too. These words left Du Xiaofu's mouth. After that, his hands suddenly swiped through the air, and the power of space moved along with it. At this moment, the air was like a boundless sea. Under Du Xiaofu's control, the sea water rushed into 9 waves, surging violently. Suddenly, the entire space was thrown into chaos. Waves of spatial turbulence rose like hurricanes, spreading out and colliding with each other, converging into a spatial storm that swept in all directions. The experts beside Du Xiaofu and in the distance, as well as the people of the devil religion, except for the 8 demon emperors, were like a small boat in a boundless tide, moving up and down along with the fluctuations of space. What a terrifying law of space! Resist it. Within the devil religion, Moksha, Mo Lingzi, and the others unleashed all their strength at the same time to resist the spatial energy. They didn't retreat into the distance because as long as they were in this space, they wouldn't be able to avoid this boundlessly violent spatial storm. You're not weak, but let's see how you're going to fight me. The second demon emperor shouted. Under his control, the huge demon claw moved across the sky and wreaked havoc in the space storm. It left a pitch-black shadow in its wake as it flashed and disappeared. With each flash, the demon claw would appear in a different location, recklessly moving in and out of the turbulent space, dodging again and again without much hindrance. Occasionally, when it collided with the weak spatial turbulence, it would be instantly crushed. "Humph, even if you have reached the heavenly saint level, you are still no match for me," Du Xiaofu said coldly. His arm moved horizontally, and the space laws were mobilized. A different kind of rhythm instantly appeared, rippling outwards. Then, the spatial turbulence that had stirred up this area suddenly stagnated, as if it had been solidified, and stopped there. In this space, regardless of whether it was the experts from the 3 continents, Kyushu region, or those from the devil religion, except for little Xingxing and the few demon emperors, everyone below the saint realm felt a sense of suffocation. It was as if the air had stopped flowing, and they couldn't even breathe. It was suffocating. Crack, 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 the demon claw's speed was greatly reduced, as if it had fallen into a quagmire. Every inch it moved forward would cause a sound, like the sound of porcelain breaking. What followed was the destruction of the frozen spatial storm, and it turned into fine powder that rained down from the sky. God-binding grip. Du Xiaofu shouted softly. He stretched out one hand, and his 5 fingers moved slightly. Facing the huge demon claw, he clenched it fiercely. Boom, a terrible explosion was heard, and the space shook violently. It filled every part of the solidified space. It was as if it had been hit by a strong force, and it shattered like a mirror, and it fell with a crash. The demon claw in the center was also crushed by this powerful force, and it turned into pieces. Puff, puff, in this shock, the experts from the devil religion, who had not reached the half-step heavenly saint realm, all spat out a mouthful of blood at the same time. The suffocating feeling receded, and the qi and blood in their bodies began to churn. Behind Du Xiaofu, the experts from the 3 continents, Kyushu region, were all fine. Under his deliberate control, the power of space didn't affect them. The void that had lost Du Xiaofu's control quickly returned to its original state. What terrifying strength! Is this the heavenly saint realm? The law of space is so miraculous. The Rock Emperor is so powerful. The second demon emperor is also very strong. Even though the great Rock Emperor has used such means, he hasn't been injured at all. The second demon emperor alone is so difficult to deal with. There are still 7 demon emperors over there. Among us, only the Rock Emperor and his daughter can fight against the 8 demon emperors. The situation is not optimistic. This battle is going to be difficult. That's right. There is still the demon god. I don't know how long it will take for him to recover. Once the demon god fully recovers, the situation will be even worse. The hundreds of people behind Du Xiaofu were shocked, and their hearts trembled at the strength of these 2 people. They could feel that the spatial power that Du Xiaofu had mastered was extremely terrifying. It was as if the area between heaven and earth was a ripe persimmon that he could hold in his hand and crush at will. However, although this kind of strength made everyone feel shocked, it did not erase the worry in their hearts. They only had 2 heavenly saints on their side, while the devil religion had 8 people. If the disparity in strength was too great, they could not help but feel worried. What's more, the god fiend was still recovering. It wouldn't take long for him to wake up and start a massacre. You do have some skills, but they are not enough. The second demon emperor sneered. He waved his arm gently, and the vibrating force was pushed back. It did not cause any damage to his body. Then, his demonic body suddenly moved, and he walked through the void. With every step he took, surging demonic qi rose from his body. In an instant, the space was filled with a strange aura. This aura was filled with endless killing intent and blood, and it was extremely ferocious. Violent demonic qi rose and combined to form the shape of a giant beast. Its body was incomparably huge, several times larger than the demonic god not far away. Just by occupying the void, it gave people a strong sense of oppression, as if it was going to fill up the entire space. Roar, the giant beast let out a low roar, and as it opened its bloody mouth, a fishy smell rushed out. The space was corroded, and dense black holes appeared. A pair of blood-red eyes, which were like two bloody suns, were ferocious and horrible. "Evil creature, how dare you be so fierce?" Du Xiaofu shouted softly. Then, with a flash of purple-gold light, he held the purple-gold heavenly sword in his hand. Du Xiaofu held the broadsword with both hands, raised it high above his head, and a ferocious aura instantly condensed. Buzz, a vast sword radiance was formed in the blink of an eye. It was unknown how thick it was, but it was like a pillar that could hold up the sky and penetrate the earth, releasing a domineering aura. Roar, around the sword radiance, the illusory figures of the green dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise appeared. They occupied the void, separated into four directions, and roared fiercely. A terrible aura spread out and permeated every inch of the space. Roar, on the opposite side, when the giant beast condensed by the second demon emperor saw this scene, it let out an even more ferocious roar. Two rows of ferocious fangs were stretched out, which was eerie and horrible. Emptiness between heaven and earth. Du Xiaofu shouted in a low voice. Suddenly, he waved his hands downward, and the sword radiance moved along with the momentum and slashed down rapidly. The law of space was added to the sword radiance. On the way down, the sword radiance shook the air and fell on the head of the giant beast. What was more strange was that among the four illusory figures of the green dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise, the fiery red vermilion bird inexplicably became real at this moment. Shriek, the vermilion bird flapped its wings, flashing and moving in the void. After opening and closing its sharp beak, it spat out a terrible flame, which burned through the void and spread to the position of the giant beast. Roar, seeing this, the giant beast roared and opened its ferocious mouth, as if it wanted to cover the sky. After the giant mouth opened, it was even bigger than its body, as if it could swallow this part of the space. The bloody and violent murderous aura filled the air, and then it was suddenly sucked into its stomach. A powerful suction force burst out in an instant, sweeping up everything. Whether it was Du Xiaoyao and the others, or the people of the devil religion, many of them were directly sucked into the giant mouth. "Oh no, retreat quickly." Ah, everyone panicked and felt their hearts trembling. One by one, they were sent flying away, completely out of their control. No one doubted what kind of miserable ending they would face once they were sucked into the giant beast's stomach. Come back. In this situation, little Xingxing and the other demon emperors on the opposite side took action. Unparalleled forces swept out and dragged the experts of their side back. After the power of the heavenly saint realm spread out, it stabilized the void and isolated the horrifying suction force. On the other side, Du Xiaofu's sword light and the flames spat out by the vermilion bird almost fell at the same time. Both of them were domineering and powerful. After the giant beast opened its mouth and sucked, both the sword light and the flames were distorted. Terrifying cracks appeared on the sword light and the raging flames. Then, they shattered and exploded. Pieces of energy flew into the giant mouth and were annihilated. The sword light and the flames seemed to be torn apart by a great force, as if they were about to be destroyed. When they really landed on the giant beast's body, the two attacks were already full of cracks and were beyond recognition. At least half of their power had been lost. However, in the end, the remnant sword light and flames still struck the giant beast's body. Boom, chi. Chi, the giant beast's body was hit by the sword light, and the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Sparks flew in all directions, and the entire world began to tremble. A terrifying wound appeared on the giant beast's body. It stretched across its entire body as if it was going to be cut in half. In the next moment, monstrous flames descended and wrapped around the body. The terrifying temperature spread and burned a black hole in the void. The huge beast's body turned red in an instant, like a piece of cooked iron. Not long after, it exploded with a bang. Poof! The giant beast's body exploded and turned into a rain of fire that fell from the sky. The devil chi burned in the fierce and domineering flames, making sizzling sounds. In the end, everyone's energy was destroyed and disappeared into the void. Is this a battle between heavenly saints? I feel like I don't even have time to react under such an attack. How terrifying. It's really too terrifying. Only a powerhouse like the Rock Emperor could have such strength to compete with the Demon Emperor. Many people in the Kyushu region of the 3 continents spoke in a daze. Humph. The second Demon Emperor snorted coldly. His aura suddenly shrank, and he stared at Du Xiaofu in front of him. After a round of fighting, neither of them was greatly shaken. On the opposite side, the purple-robed young man had put away his sword. The Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Rosefinch, and Black Tortoise had all returned to the purple-gold heavenly palace. However, Du Xiaofu's body was faintly surging with a fierce aura, which showed that he was ready to attack again at any time. A demon emperor at the heavenly saint stage is really difficult to deal with. Du Xiaofu's heart was heavy, and his eyes were full of ferocity. One demon emperor was already so difficult to deal with. If the remaining 7 demon emperors attacked together, the situation would be even worse. Boy, no matter how profound your cultivation is, I will crush your bones and scatter your ashes today. The second demon emperor said in a cold voice. His murderous aura filled the void. Second brother, don't waste time. Just as the second demon emperor was about to attack again, a gloomy and hoarse voice rang out. Then, the great demon emperor's petite body moved horizontally in the void and came to the second demon emperor's side. Lord Demon God will recover at any time. Let's not waste any more time. The great demon emperor said softly. His pupilless eyes looked at Du Xiaofu and the hundreds of people behind the purple-robed young man. Let's attack together and solve the trouble here. Together, these people could be considered to be all the power in this world. After killing all of them, no one can pose a threat to our devil religion. The great demon emperor swept his gaze across the field and said in a gloomy voice. That's right. They're gathering here because they're looking for death. It will save us the trouble of searching for them one by one. As long as we kill them all, no one can stop the rise of our devil religion. Even if Lord Demon God doesn't attack us, this world is already in the pocket of our devil religion. The 4 demon emperors stepped forward and said word by word. Chapter 26:35. The words of the great demon emperor and the 4 demon emperors resounded in the space and entered everyone's mind. The experts from the 3 continents and Kyushu region all felt their hearts tighten. Many of them couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. Even Du Xiaofu's face became terrifyingly gloomy. Are they finally going to attack together? Du Xiaofu mumbled as he felt an immense pressure. The situation in this world had never been as serious as it was now. The 8 demon emperors were 8 heavenly saint powerhouses. If they were to attack together, it would be a great threat to Yi Shiwen's side. Just as the 4 demon emperors had said, although the demon god had not fully recovered and awakened, the 8 of them could completely crush all the powerhouses from the 3 continents and the 9 continents and the 9 continents. Even though Du Xiaoyao, Jialo Jueyu, and the others had already stepped into the half-step heavenly saint realm, they were still far from enough to deal with the joint forces of several demon emperors. One second demon emperor was already so difficult to deal with. He and Little Xingxing, 2 heavenly saints, could only hold back 2 of them. With the addition of the other half-step heavenly saint experts from the devil religion, the situation was completely one-sided. The few hundred people here were the peak forces of this world. If most of them were to perish here, then the devil religion would have no more resistance in this world, and it would definitely sweep through this world with an unstoppable force. So what if he's a heavenly saint? None of the Du family disciples are afraid of death. Today, let's have a battle with them. Among the crowd, Du Yunlong said aloud. As he spoke, his whole body was covered in lightning, and it curled around his body. After that, everyone only heard a dang sound. The desolation-hallowed bell rushed out and entrenched itself in the void, emitting a terrifying and heavy aura. Well said. This battle was unavoidable. Sooner or later, they would have to face it. Even if we die, we must make the devil religion pay the price. A light flashed in Du Tingxuan's palm, and the long spear appeared in his hand. He looked at the devil religion's lineup, and his aura was domineering. How can we retreat in the face of devil religion? Since they want to fight, my farmer's clan will accompany them in a battle to their heart's content. The old man with the hoe said. Let's fight. The disciples of Shang Zhou will never back down. Mu Jianchen from Shang Prefecture's Sameng sword sect stepped forward with his hands behind his back. His back was ramrod straight like a sharp sword. That's right, we Taoists are willing to follow the Rock Emperor and fight to the death. My scholarly faction is also willing to follow the Rock Emperor and fight to the death. We, the golden-winged great rocks, will follow the young clan leader and fight to the death. The Phoenix clan is willing to follow the Rock Emperor and fight to the death. I, a walking beast, am willing to follow Supreme Qilin and fight to the death. We of the demon realm vow to fight to the death. Tianwu Academy swears to fight to the death. We are willing to follow the Rock Emperor and fight to the death. Fight to the death. In an instant, all the living beings from the 3 continents and Kyushu stepped forward. Every one of them was hot-blooded and their words were sonorous. Their sage artifacts glowed and surged with power. Unparalleled battle intent emanated from every single one of them, shaking the 9 heavens and the 9 hells. None of them backed down in the face of the devil religion. Instead, they all spoke with fervor and passion. Du Xiaofu couldn't help but feel extremely touched by this scene. At this moment, he understood that no matter how powerful the devil religion was or how terrifying the demon god was, there would always be countless living beings who were willing to risk their lives to fight against them. Let's fight. None of the living beings from the 3 continents and Kyushu are afraid of death. Du Xiaofu said these words through gritted teeth. Even though he knew the disparity in strength between them, he couldn't back down. Moreover, even if he wanted to retreat with everyone to preserve his strength, the devil religion wouldn't allow them to leave safely. Now, they had no other choice but to fight. Ha, 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 ha. All of you are tough. I'd like to see how long you can be tough in the face of absolute strength. The second demon emperor said with a cold smile in an extremely gloomy tone. After that, the great demon emperor, the 4th demon emperor, and the 5th demon emperor, including the 2nd demon emperor, stepped out at the same time and moved toward Du Xiaofu and his companions. All of the demon emperors were exuding a vast amount of demonic qi, which was like a cloud of smoke and mist. Everyone from the devil religion, listen to my order. Attack with all your strength and kill all of them. Don't let any of them go. The great demon emperor said in a hoarse voice. Then, he waved his scale-covered palm in the void and ordered the people from the devil religion behind him. Yes, sir. The remaining people from the devil religion shouted in unison. Then, all of them flew out. Their chi was intertwined with each other, covering the sky and the earth. These people's auras were as powerful as rainbows, and they moved with killing intent. Kill! Du Xiaofu shouted in a low voice. Then, he stomped on the void and rushed toward the great demon emperor and the 2nd demon emperor. Streaks of purple-golden light spread out from his body and covered his whole body. The green spirit armor appeared and shone brightly. Kill! Little Xingxing also shouted. Then, with a roar, his petite body changed instantly and returned to his original form of a dragon. His pair of wings flapped in the sky and shattered everything in all directions. His dragon claws tore the sky and the earth apart and destroyed everything. Kill, kill, at the same time, hundreds of powerhouses, including Du Xiaoyao, Zhen Qingchun, Du Xiaojing, the Confucian School, the Yin-Yang School, the Human Clan, the Beast Alliance, and the Walking Beast Alliance, all held divine artifacts in their hands and rushed toward the devil religion. Second brother, fourth brother, the three of us will work together to kill Du Xiaofu. Fifth brother, sixth brother, seventh brother, kill that dragon together. Eighth brother, ninth brother, kill the rest of them and don't leave anyone alive. In the face of Du Xiaofu's actions, the great demon emperor shouted coldly. Yes. The fifth demon emperor, the seventh demon emperor, and the rest of the demon emperors responded and rushed towards Su Ke. Under the leadership of the great demon emperor, the second demon emperor and the fourth demon emperor joined forces and rushed toward Du Xiaofu directly. The fifth demon emperor, the sixth demon emperor, and the seventh demon emperor, carried an unparalleled aura and rushed toward Little Xingxing. The remaining people, led by the eighth demon emperor and the ninth demon emperor, collided with the hundreds of people from the three continents, Kyushu, and the other realms. Kill. A terrifying chaotic battle broke out in an instant. Both sides attacked with all their might. Every one of these hundreds of people was extraordinary. After cultivating in this special space, the people with the lowest cultivation base had reached the later stage of the sage realm. No matter if it was the devil religion or Du Xiaofu's side, it was the same for all of them. Destroy the devil religion. Kill. Many living beings shouted and rushed forward fiercely. Everyone's eyes were red. Holding swords and sabers in their hands, they rushed forward and swore to fight to the death. The killing has begun. Leave no one alive. Kill. The devil religion's side was also excited. Everyone's eyes were shining with a bloodthirsty light. Chapter 26-36. In the blink of an eye, a terrifying battle broke out in this space. Roar of the sacred sword. 8 desolation thunder. God-binding grip. Emptiness of heaven and earth. One after another, Du Xiaofu unleashed a series of ferocious and domineering attacks. The law of lightning and the law of space were unleashed consecutively. Violent thunderbolts roared, shattering the void. The space was like the sea, stirred by an invisible giant hand, setting off monstrous waves that charged straight ahead. The purple-gold heavenly palace shone brightly, and peerless sword rays slashed out, causing the heaven and earth to tremble. Around Du Xiaofu, the first demon emperor, second demon emperor, and fourth demon emperor moved at the same time. The three heavenly saint powerhouses joined forces, and demonic chi billowed, condensing into one overbearing attack after another, crashing down on Du Xiaofu like a tsunami. At this time, both sides no longer held back, and used all their means. The three demon emperors' goal was simple. They wanted to end the battle quickly, and kill Du Xiaofu before Lord Demon God fully recovered. They wanted to eliminate the biggest threat of the devil religion. The enmity between both sides had accumulated for many years, and they wanted to end it today. The reality was just as the three demon emperors had expected. Even though Du Xiaofu was not weaker than any of them, under the joint forces of the three heavenly saint powerhouses, he could only fall into an absolute disadvantage. He could only defend himself and could not fight back. Du Xiaofu, you can't escape death today. Third brother died in your hands, so you'll pay for it with your life. The fourth demon emperor was like a peerless demon god who had stepped out from the netherworld. He held a blood-red scythe in his hand, slashing through the barrier of space and landing directly on Du Xiaofu's chest. Qi, the green spirit armor was broken by the attack, and a long and narrow hole appeared on it, and its luster dimmed a little. Du Xiaofu's body was tainted by the sharpness of the fiend Qi. His flesh split open and purplish gold blood flowed. Fortunately, with his indestructible Xian body, although this attack had injured him, it did not affect him too much. "Kill!" the great demon emperor said in a gloomy and hoarse voice. A slender hand covered with scales broke through the lightning and fiercely scratched Du Xiaofu's back. Pucci, the purplish gold soft armor was broken, and his flesh was torn apart. The wound was so deep that one could see his bones. "Kill!" Du Xiaofu furrowed his brows and shouted in a deep voice. Without wasting any time, the purple gold heavenly palace swung from his chest to his back. The azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise moved along with him, repelling the demon chi scythes and great demon emperor's claws respectively. After that, the four of them once again fell into an intense battle. On the other side, little Xingxing's situation was similar to Du Xiaofu's. The 5 demon emperors, the 6 demon emperors, and the 7 demon emperors attacked together and trapped her. They were also 3 demon emperors in the heavenly saint realm. Even though little Xingxing was the daughter of the dragon god and possessed the bloodline of the azure dragon, the black tortoise, and the vermilion bird tribes, she could not contend with them head-on. However, it was difficult for the 3 demon emperors to do anything to her in a short period of time. In such a situation, Du Xiaofu and little Xingxing restrained 6 demon emperors in the heavenly saint realm. However, even so, the hundreds of powerhouses not far away from them were in imminent danger under the attack of dozens of people from the devil religion. Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaoyao, the little Qilin, Du Yunlong, and the other half-step heavenly saint powerhouses were entangled by dozens of half-step heavenly saints from the devil religion and could not get rid of them. The 8 demon emperor and the 9 demon emperor, the 2 heavenly saint powerhouses, rushed into the hundreds of heavenly saint realm powerhouses. Tisk, tsk, tsk. Insignificant ants, go to hell. The 9 demon emperor laughed eerily and coldly. A ray of demonic chi shot out from his palm and was held in his hand like a waterfall. Then, he spun it and swept it across the void. Puff, 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 ah, the bodies of the powerhouses exploded under the demonic chi waterfall and turned into a bloody mist. The mist lingered in the void and was absorbed by the waterfall, increasing its power. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 people had died under the 9 demon emperors' attack. The power of a heavenly saint was not something that an ordinary heavenly saint powerhouse could contend with. The gap between the two was too big. The 8 demon emperor and the 9 demon emperor's figures flashed and disappeared. They were like tigers in a flock of sheep as they killed wantonly. With every attack, the powerhouses of the 3 continents and Kyushu realm were reaped by the 2 demon emperors as if they were wheat being harvested. In just a few breaths' time, 40 to 50 people had died among the hundreds of heavenly saint realm powerhouses. No, this can't go on. Not far away, Du Xiaofu's mind was constantly on the other side. When he saw this scene, he could not help but feel his heart sink. The hundreds of powerhouses of the 3 continents and Kyushu realm were the pinnacle forces of this realm. They could not be slaughtered by the 2 demon emperors here. Otherwise, not to mention defeating the demon god, the devil religion would be able to sweep through this realm and kill all the living beings without the need for the 8 demon emperors to do anything. He. Du Xiaofu, you'd better take care of yourself first. The 4 demon emperors sneered. When they saw that Du Xiaofu was in a daze, the sickle in their hands slashed toward him again. Terrifying demonic chi rose and cut through the void. In an instant, it appeared in front of Du Xiaofu's chest. On the blade of the sickle, the light of death flickered and the demonic chi surged as if it could cut through all obstacles. Get lost! Looking at this scene, Du Xiaofu let out a thunderous roar. Then, the purple gold heavenly palace vibrated. The power of thunder and lightning and the power of space condensed into a fierce and peerless sword light, which collided with the sickle in the hands of the 4 demon emperors. Boom, a terrifying power exploded, and an unparalleled force swept out, shaking the entire area. Between the 2 of them, a large number of talismans and mysterious runes were shattered and scattered in the air. Du Xiaofu and the second demon emperor were both pushed back by each other, and they stood several thousand feet away. Humph! How can you fight against the three of us by yourself? The great demon emperor and the second demon emperor snorted coldly and moved instantly. Their bodies stretched out in the void, and they quickly pounced on Su Ke. Two fierce attacks were formed in their hands and headed toward Du Xiaofu. Swoosh! The golden wings of the great Peng behind Du Xiaofu flapped, and a vast expanse of golden light poured out like a sun in the sky, enveloping Du Xiaofu's body. At the same time, the attacks of the great demon emperor and the second demon emperor had arrived, and they directly attacked the vast golden light. Swish! A terrifying power exploded, and the golden light was shattered with a single strike. It exploded in the void, and even the purple-robed figure was torn to pieces. Seeing this, the great demon emperor and the second demon emperor narrowed their eyes at the same time, and they did not feel happy at all. He ran away. The great demon emperor said in a hoarse voice. The second demon emperor and the fourth demon emperor looked at each other. How could they not know what had happened? They knew Du Xiaofu very well. They knew that he had profound attainments in the law of thunder and the law of space, especially the law of space from the golden-winged rock clan, which was mysterious and unpredictable. The three demon emperors looked around and suddenly found that the purple-robed figure had already appeared in the distance. At the same time, in the Kyushu realm of the three continents, where hundreds of powerhouses and dozens of people from the devil religion were fighting, the nine-demon emperor was recklessly charging into the crowd. TSK, TSK, TSK. Lowly human beings, go to hell. The nine-demon emperor swept the demonic chi in his hand and instantly attacked the crowd. Bailey Wuya, Mu Jianchen, Yuzheng Tongxian, and more than 10 people were the first to bear the brunt of this attack. The terrifying power of the heavenly saint was vast and mighty, and they could not even escape from it. Everyone's bodies seemed to be imprisoned and fixed in the void, and they could not break free. The powerhouses could only watch helplessly as the demonic chi cascaded down. As the aura descended, it carried with it a terrifying pressure that caused their bodies to begin to crack and blood to splatter everywhere. At this moment, Bailey Wuya, Mu Jianchen, Yuzheng Tongxian, and the others were all in despair. Under the nine-demon emperor's attack, they could not escape at all. The devil religion's calamity has just begun. Are we going to die here? Almost all of the powerhouses had the same thought in their minds. They were unwilling to accept this and wished that they could have more powerful strength to fight the devil religion to the death. They did not want to be like this, where they could not make any effective resistance in the face of the demon emperor's attack. Even if we die, we must not become nourishment for the devil religion. Mu Jianchen suddenly shouted, and a trace of viciousness climbed up his handsome face. When Bailey Wuya, Yuzheng Tongxian, and the others heard this, all of them were stunned for a moment. However, it was only for a moment. In the next moment, they all understood the meaning of this sentence. The devil religion's purpose of killing was to turn this world into a vast devil domain. They wanted to seize energy from mountains of corpses and seas of blood to increase their strength in the midst of misery and suffering. For the people of the devil religion, killing was the fastest and most effective way to cultivate. That was the case for the demonic god and the many demon emperors. Let's end ourselves. It's better than the energy after death to become nourishment for the people of the devil religion. Bailey Wuya, Yuzheng Tongxian, and the others all understood. They gathered the energy in their bodies, and wanted to end their lives. At the same time, they used their methods to destroy all the remaining energy to prevent it from being used by the people of the devil religion. Sword fire burns my body, burn my body. Mu Jianchen's face became ferocious, and sword energy surged all over his body. Unparalleled energy gathered in his body, wantonly colliding with his spirit gate and meridians. This violent and tyrannical power only needed to erupt once to shoot out countless sword flames, cutting his body into ashes. All of his energy would be burned away, leaving not even a wisp of smoke behind. However, just as he was about to end his own life, a cold shout rang in his ears. "Get out of my way." These words came from Du Xiaofu's mouth. In front of Mu Jinshan's eyes, a purple gold light flashed, and a figure appeared, blocking in front of them. A terrifying pressure spread out from the figure, suppressing their primordial spirits. Mu Jinshan, Bailey Wuya, Yuzheng Tongxian, and the others, who had gathered their energy to end their lives, were instantly suppressed. Rock Emperor. At this time, they also saw that the person who had appeared in front of them was Du Xiaofu. After using the Fuyao style to get rid of the Great Demon Emperor, the Second Demon Emperor, and the Fourth Demon Emperor, he directly appeared in front of the Ninth Demon Emperor. Sword breaks 10,000 miles. The purple-gold heavenly tower in Du Xiaofu's hand emitted a clanging sound, and the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise roared, shaking the heavens and the earth. A majestic sword radiance immediately formed and slashed at Jiu Demon Emperor's demonic chi stream. Boom! When the two forces collided, a terrifying explosion erupted. A terrifying black hole appeared in the center, like the giant mouth of a celestial demon, which could swallow everything. Powerful energy fluctuations rippled out, producing a rumbling sound that resembled a tidal wave. The entire space was trembling, and countless cracks in the void began to extend from the center of the black hole. It was like a dark abyss, spreading in all directions, like a huge spider web hanging in the void. The sword light and the demonic chi disintegrated in an instant, and the two opposite forces kept entangling, swallowing, and consuming each other. In the end, they turned into a large number of runes, which flew out like a group of dancing ants. So powerful. The Ninth Demon Emperor's body was knocked back by the attack, and he quickly flew into the distance. Du Xiaofu's body was also fluttering. The golden rock wings on his back flapped rapidly, and he stopped next to Bailey Wuya and the others. In such a head-on collision, he was actually on par with the Ninth Demon Emperor. After the other Demon Emperors had reached the Heavenly Saint realm, it was difficult for him to suppress them, so he could only fight to a standstill. "Thank you, Rock Emperor, for your help." Mu Jinshan, Yuzheng Tongxian, and the others cupped their fists and thanked Du Xiaofu. They were already prepared to die, but they did not expect Du Xiaofu to shake off the three Demon Emperors and come to their rescue. "I can't take care of everyone, so you must be careful." Du Xiaofu turned around and said in a low voice. Just as he said, with the several Demon Emperors holding him back, he could not spare too much effort to take care of hundreds of people. After shaking off the Great Demon Emperor, the Second Demon Emperor, and the Fourth Demon Emperor, the three Demon Emperors would be free to deal with the others. Under such circumstances, they would not be of any use. However, Du Xiaofu could not turn a blind eye to it, and he could not watch his friends die tragically in front of him. "Rock Emperor, you must be careful too. Just focus on dealing with the Demon Emperors, and don't worry about us." Mu Jinshan said softly. After retracting the sword chi in his body, he still looked fierce and resolute. He knew very well that Du Xiaofu could help them once, but it was impossible for him to take care of them all the time. They could only rely on themselves for everything. "Du Xiaofu, I'd like to see how you're going to save them all by yourself." At this moment, the Eighth Demon Emperor, who was not far away, suddenly shouted. His demonic body moved horizontally in the void and suddenly crashed into the crowd of hundreds of Heavenly Saint Realm experts. Chapter 2637. Die. The Eighth Demon Emperor shouted viciously as he threw out a palm strike. The vast demonic chi transformed into a dense mist and took shape. It turned into a huge palm the size of the sky and directly covered the figures of several powerhouses. Among these people, there was Ji Tsang, the ancestor of the Ji family from the ancient wilderness continent, Xiao Yao from the Overlord Python clan and Qi Hu from the four-winged demonic snake clan from the Beast Alliance, as well as the demonic beast Earth Wolf that Du Xiaofu had subdued, and so on. The huge demonic palm moved through the air. The demonic energy was vast and mighty, and the energy poured into the bodies of these people. Puff, 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 a series of muffled sounds reverberated. The bodies of several experts, who were at least at the late sage realm, instantly exploded before they could even react. In just an instant, the originally lively lives turned into clouds of blood mist, drifting in the void. Bastard! Du Xiaofu roared angrily. His eyes turned extremely red in an instant. Blood vessels filled his eyes. At this moment, an uncontrollable grief invaded his heart, causing his body to tremble non-stop. Many of those people were old friends that he was familiar with. However, they were all killed by the 8th Demon Emperor in just one move. Keek. The weakest among them was at the late sage realm. How many years has it been since I last enjoyed such a tonic? The 8th Demon Emperor laughed sinisterly. He opened his mouth and inhaled. The surrounding blood mist moved and drifted into his mouth before being sucked into his stomach. After that, one could clearly sense that his strength had faintly increased by a sliver. Bastard! Bastard! Du Xiaofu roared angrily. In a flash, his body appeared in front of the 8th Demon Emperor again. I want you to die with them. He shouted angrily. The purple gold heavenly tower in his hand hummed and emitted a sword light that pierced through the sky. It was as if it wanted to pierce through the sky and pierced the chest of the 8th Demon Emperor. At the same time, the law of space was activated. The void was like a pool of water that was shaking. Boom boom boom, an invisible power compressed and collapsed as if it had been frozen, tightly binding the 8 Demon Emperors within it. Things are no longer the same as before. No matter how powerful you are, you still can't kill me. The 8th Demon Emperor licked his lips and glared at Du Xiaofu coldly as he raised his sword and charged toward him. His demonic body suddenly struggled, only to hear a caw-caw sound, and then with a bang, the frozen space directly broke into countless pieces. In the blink of an eye, the 8 Demon Emperors regained their freedom. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's sword light had already reached his chest. Seeing that he was unable to dodge the attack, a ruthless expression flashed across the 8 Demon Emperor's eyes. If you want to hurt me, you'll have to pay the price yourself. Blood Fiend Demon Palm. With a buzz, the palm struck out horizontally. Blood Fiend Chi filled the air and transformed into an endless ferocious scene. There were ferocious ghosts fighting, mean spirits wailing, evil gods gnawing, and ferocious creatures slaughtering. When Du Xiaofu's sword light stabbed into the 8 Demon Emperor's chest, the palm also landed on the purple-robed young man's chest. Chi, bang, 2 sounds were heard one after another. The sword light in Du Xiaofu's hand directly pierced into the 8 Demon Emperor's demonic body. The magnificent force tore the 8 Demon Emperor's body apart, and demonic blood gushed out. The power of thunder and lightning coiled around and burned the demonic blood, turning it into wisps of black gas that drifted in the void. At the same time, the demonic palm that carried a terrifying force also imprinted on Du Xiaofu's chest. Under such a blow, his body flew out in an instant. His blue spirit armor was shattered and dissipated. A huge palm print was left on Du Xiaofu's chest. His flesh was charred and emitted black smoke. Wisps of demonic qi coiled around his body and constantly eroded his immortal Xian body. Du Xiaofu. Dad. Rock Emperor. When the experts in the distance saw this scene, they were all shocked. One had to know that the hopes of all living beings were placed on this purple-robed young man. They did not know when it started, but Du Xiaofu's existence was like a cornerstone that supported the faith of all living beings. As long as he was around, no one in this realm would be in true despair. No matter how powerful the devil religion was, no matter how invincible the demon god was, it would not be able to break their fighting spirit. His safety was naturally linked to everyone's nerves. It is indeed terrifying. The golden wings of the great rock flapped, and a dense purple gold light shone. Only then did Du Xiaofu's body come to a stop in the void. He looked at the 8 demon emperors in the distance, and his eyes were filled with ferocity. Ha, ha, ha. How can you save the lives of so many people by yourself? At this moment, the voice of the second demon emperor rang out. Under the lead of the great demon emperor, he and the other 4 demon emperors, who had been shaken off by Du Xiaofu earlier, went to the side of the 8 demon emperors and stood side by side with them. If he wants to save them, then let him save them. I would like to see how many people he can save. The great demon emperor said in a hoarse voice. His eyes, which did not have the scara, looked at Du Xiaofu, and no one could see any fluctuations in them. Du Xiaofu, since you don't want to fight with the 3 of us, then we will fulfill your wish. Kill all these people first, and then join forces to deal with him. The result will be the same. The 4 demon emperors raised their scythes and sneered. That's right. Let's keep a distance from each other and start a massacre here. Ha, 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 ha. As the second demon emperor said that, he rushed out and rushed toward the group of experts from the Kyushu realm of the 3 continents. Oh, no. Du Xiaofu's heart sank. Instantly, he understood the intention of the 3 demon emperors. On the other side, only the 3 demon emperors were restrained by Little Star, but they had also put her in a difficult situation. If the 5 demon emperors on the other side did not want to fight with him and turn to attack the other experts on his side, they would be as powerful as tigers. The remaining few hundred people would not be able to withstand a few more attacks and would be completely wiped out. Your opponent is me. Du Xiaofu said in a low voice. Without thinking, he disappeared on the spot and appeared in the path of the second demon emperor. The blood-red rage in his eyes gradually faded away, and he returned to his original appearance. His heart gradually calmed down, and he no longer lost his mind because of the deaths of Ji Tsang, Di Lang, and the others. He knew that it was too difficult to kill a demon emperor with his own strength when he was surrounded by so many experts. He absolutely could not lose sight of the bigger picture just because of hatred, and lose his sense of propriety. He. Great. Seeing Du Xiaofu intercepting them, the second demon emperor could not help but laugh. He said to the great demon emperor, the 4 demon emperors, and the others, I will hold off Du Xiaofu. You go and kill the rest of them. Don't leave anyone alive. He. As he spoke, the second demon emperor's body shook the sky, and a terrible force erupted from his body. In an instant, he collided with Du Xiaofu. At the same time, the great demon emperor, the 4 demon emperors, the 8 demon emperors, and the 9 demon emperors moved at the same time. The 4 heavenly saints attacked at the same time and swept toward the opposite group. Everyone, spread out and kill these people. In the process, the great demon emperor ordered in a gloomy voice, if Du Xiaofu wants to save people, let him save them. I don't believe that he can deal with the 4 of us at the same time. Understood. Hearing the great demon emperor's order, the 4 demon emperors, the 8 demon emperors, and the 9 demon emperors spread out and kept a certain distance from each other. With their strength, if Du Xiaofu wanted to save hundreds of experts, it was impossible for him to take care of the 4 of them at the same time. No matter how strong that kid was, he could not deal with any of the demon emperors in a short time and make them lose their fighting strength. In this way, he could only be exhausted and unable to take care of everything. Everyone, form a joint attack formation. Seeing that the demon emperors had left him and were closing in on the experts of the 3 continents, Kyushu, and the other heavenly saints, Du Xiaofu could not help but shout. A sword radiance was slashed out from his hand and forced the second demon emperor to retreat dozens of feet. Then, he stretched out his hand into the void and clenched it hard. The space in front of the great demon emperor moved, and terrible spatial folds appeared, wrapping the petite and strange body of the great demon emperor inside. Heavenly thunder punishment, open for me. Then Du Xiaofu shouted again, and the law of thunder was activated. A peerless thunder and lightning beam came down from the sky and hit the heads of the 4 demon emperors directly. Purple thunder cauldron, go. Du Xiaofu waved his hand slightly, and the divine thunder cauldron rushed out from his body, dragging terrible purple gold thunder and lightning, to intercept the 8 demon emperors. Kill! The next moment, in a flash of golden light, Du Xiaofu disappeared and reappeared in front of the 9 demon emperor. Then, he slashed his sword at the 9 demon emperor again. All this happened in the blink of an eye. From the time he forced the 2nd demon emperor to retreat, to the time he used the Fuyao style and appeared in front of the 9 demon emperor, it only took a moment. After this series of actions, the 5 demon emperors were temporarily delayed. Hurry up, form a combined attack defensive array. Du Xiaofu shouted at the hundreds of powerhouses. At this moment, if one was not calm enough and stubbornly persisted, one might have some hope of killing 1 or 2 Yimo emperors in a one-on-one situation. However, one would definitely be seriously injured and fall into a dangerous situation. It could even endanger one's life. Most importantly, when the rest of the demon emperors were free to attack, none of the hundreds of powerhouses would be able to survive. Otherwise, they would all be killed in a few moves. Only by combining the strength of all the powerhouses could they better compete with the devil religion, so as to avoid being defeated by the demon emperors one by one. Even if the array they had formed could not stop the slaughter of the Heaven Saint Demon Emperor, it could at least hold on for some time. Tisk, tsk, tsk. Du Xiaofu, there is no need to waste your energy. If I were you, I would just surrender. At this time, the 2nd demon emperor had broken the sword radiance that Du Xiaofu had slashed out. Then, he got rid of the sword radiance and rushed toward the hundreds of powerhouses again. Set up the array. Under the command of Du Xiaofu, hundreds of powerhouses took advantage of the moment when the demon emperors were restrained. They quickly got rid of the powerhouses of the devil religion and gathered together. Whoosh, 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 among them, many spiritual talisman masters danced in the air and set up array flags around the hundreds of powerhouses. 6 Wheels Blood Killing Array, set up. Yin Yang Heaven Killing Array, set up. 9 Hell's Devil Locking Array, set up. After the shouts, layers of arrays were set up instantly. They intertwined with each other and formed a huge energy shield. Everyone, let's attack together and pour our strength into the array. Hundreds of powerhouses kept pouring their strength into the array to increase its power. In this situation, no one was stingy with their Xian Qi, beast energy, and demonic Qi. They all attacked with their full strength, and unparalleled strength surged out. The vast energy gathered and condensed into a whole, exuding a monstrous power. In the energy shield, there was a powerful, sharp sword Qi and an overbearing, endless power. Various kinds of energy formed a powerful, thick defensive array. At the same time, it also carried a sharp way of attack, which could be used to attack and defend. That ferocious and heavy aura contained a sharp aura, indicating that even if it was an enemy below the heavenly saint realm, it would be able to suppress and kill them, and no one would be able to break it. However, their enemies were several demon emperors, all of whom had the strength of the heaven saint realm. No matter how many tricks you have, you are just putting up a desperate struggle. None of you will be able to stop the devil sex massacre. Hee hee. Let's kill. Just as the array was set up, the great demon emperor, the 4th demon emperor, the 8th demon emperor, and the 9th demon emperor also got rid of Du Xiaofu's attack and rushed toward the huge energy shield. Humph, your opponent is me. Du Xiaofu snorted coldly, his hair fluttering wildly in the wind. Seeing that the array was set up, he felt a little relieved. No matter what, it was better to gather the strength of hundreds of powerhouses than to be slaughtered by several demon emperors. He held the purple gold heavenly tower in his hand and stepped forward. A sword ray formed again and slashed toward the great demon emperor. Du Xiaofu, today, I must kill you. Seeing this, the 2nd demon emperor turned around and flew towards Du Xiaofu, ignoring the people who were setting up the formation. At the same time, the 4th demon emperor moved again and surrounded Du Xiaofu. However, the 8th Demon Emperor and the 9th Demon Emperor still rushed toward the energy shield formed by the powerhouses. Kill! The Grand Devil Emperor's claw swept through the sky, breaking through the boundless space and fiercely grabbing onto Du Xiaofu's sword light. After that, his palm moved along with his arm as he abruptly twisted. Bang! With a loud sound, the sword light was directly broken and shattered into pieces in the air. Du Xiaofu, give me your life. The 2nd Demon Emperor and the 4th Demon Emperor bellowed as they lunged forward to fight Du Xiaofu together with the Great Demon Emperor. TSK TSK TSK. These layers of formations don't look weak, but I wonder how many times they can withstand my attacks. On the other side, the 8th Demon Emperor said with a sinister smile. Staring at the huge energy shield, a bloodthirsty glint flashed in his demonic eyes. Chapter 2638. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor, Nyoibo Studio Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor, Nyoibo Studio. The 8th Demon Emperor moved swiftly. In a flash, he was already beside the energy barrier. Then, he gently raised his fist, and without thinking, he punched out in an ordinary manner, fiercely smashing it onto the energy shield. However, such a simple punch, which did not have the slightest bit of energy fluctuation, exploded with a loud bang when it hit the formation. Terrifying ripples spread out from the multicolored protective shield as it shook violently, as if it was about to shatter under this punch. At the same time, a series of cracking sounds could be heard. Then, cracks spread and climbed up the barrier. Many of the experts in the array spat out mouthfuls of blood at the same time. They were greatly shaken. This Demon Emperor is too scary. It was just a simple punch, but it only impacted the array so much. In the array, Hu Xuanhu of the Mo family said in horror. I don't know how long we can hold on if this continues. Huang Linger of the Phoenix clan was also very worried. Her beautiful eyes were filled with worry. I'm afraid that if he attacks a few more times, the array that hundreds of us have formed with all our strength will be on the verge of collapse. Mu Qingge also spoke in a serious tone. No matter how long we can hold on, we must use all our strength to protect ourselves and prevent the Rock Emperor and the others from being distracted. Mu Jianchen said. Sword chi burst out from his body. As they spoke, they did not even bother to wipe the blood from the corners of their mouths. Their auras rose, and the chi in their bodies flowed into the array. They could not bear to see the array slowly stabilize. Kakik. Do you think I can't do anything to you just because you're hiding in the array? I'd like to see how long you can hide. Outside the array, the 9th Demon Emperor smiled coldly. He flew to the front of the array and raised his palm. Such a palm strike was very similar to the 8th Demon Emperor's punch from before. It still looked very ordinary, and there was not the slightest bit of energy fluctuation. It made people feel that it was no different from a person who had no cultivation at all. However, when the 9th Demon Emperor unleashed this attack, the hundreds of experts in the array widened their eyes. They did not dare underestimate this attack. Boom! The demonic palm finally hit the ground. On the rune array, huge waves were stirred up again. Like a colorful and transparent bubble, it was trembling and changing hideous shapes under the attack of a great force, as if it would explode at any moment. At the same time, the bodies of hundreds of experts shuddered and their blood chi surged as they each spat out a mouthful of black blood. Especially those spirit talisman masters who were controlling the formation. Everyone's face had turned pale and was frighteningly pale. Quick, control the formation. However, no one dared to slack off, and they all forcefully raised their chi to stabilize the grand formation. Let's attack together and kill these weak ants. The 8th Demon Emperor's devilish body soared through the air as he unleashed another vicious punch. Ha, ha, ha. Good, let's attack together. Let's see how long they can resist. The 9th Demon Emperor laughed sinisterly. Then, He and the 8th Demon Emperor separated from each other and threw out their palms at the same time. Quick! Gather the killing array and take the initiative to attack. Within the energy array, a powerhouse shouted. The next moment, under the control of hundreds of experts, a fierce aura rose from the entire array. Then, 2 unparalleled sword essences were formed instantly and soared into the sky. Above the 2 sword essences, a terrifying energy fluctuation spread out, causing the void to tremble. Endless roars of wind and thunder erupted as the 2 sword essences collided violently and swept out in all directions. The 2 sword essences slashed toward the 8th Demon Emperor and the 9th Demon Emperor respectively. How dare you take the initiative to attack? However, it's all in vain. The power of the heavenly saint realm is not something that you lowly insects can fathom. The 8th Demon Emperor and the 9th Demon Emperor snorted coldly at the same time. Then, their fists and palms, which were originally aimed at the energy array, turned toward the 2 sword essences. Even though their words were filled with disdain, their eyes were filled with seriousness when they faced the 2 sword essences that were extremely powerful. It should be known that this was an attack that was formed by the combined power of hundreds of saint stage experts. If the 2 sword essences were allowed to land on their bodies, even if their lives were not in danger, they would still be severely injured. Break it! The 2 demon emperors roared furiously. They did not dodge at all as their fists and palms collided with the 2 sword essences. Boom, 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 terrifying vibrations spread out. Under the attack of the 2 demon emperors, the 2 sword essences were shattered in an instant. Then, they turned into a wild energy storm that swept across the sky. Terrifying energy shot out like a torrential river, causing 2 extremely terrifying black holes to appear in the void. The endless storm swept out and destroyed everything. It was like a hurricane had swept past, causing the entire array to shake violently. Everyone in the formation, under this attack, all of their expressions became even more gloomy. Humph! How long can the 2 of you last with such exhaustion? Now, it's our turn. Black demonic chi rippled out from the 8 demon emperors' bodies, isolating them from the energy storm that filled the sky. Then, the 8 demon emperors twisted their bodies, rose up, and moved rapidly. In the next moment, they appeared outside the energy barrier again. Then, they threw a punch that shook the void and smashed down. Boom, crack, crack, amidst the deafening roar, the sound of something shattering could be heard. After the 7-colored light flashed on the array, it instantly dimmed a little. Among them, a layer of light directly faded away and dissipated into nothingness. The 9 Hells Devil locking array is broken. Everyone in the array spat out a mouthful of blood again. The blood pierced through the void, and everyone's expression became dispirited in the blink of an eye. The 8 demon emperors' actions were simply too fast. This time, no one in the array had the time to react. After the 2 sword essences were broken, the 8 demon emperors' attacks landed instantly. They did not even have the time to prepare to defend themselves. The outermost layer of the 9 Hells Devil locking array was destroyed by the attack, and the array flags were destroyed one by one. The spiritual talisman master who set up the array also suffered the greatest impact. After letting out a scream, his body exploded in the array and turned into a mist of blood. He died tragically on the spot. We can't take the initiative to attack anymore. The demon emperors are too powerful. We can't defeat them at all. If we continue to attack, it will consume too much of our energy. Continue to set up the array and defend with all our strength. Everyone in the array also realized the seriousness of the situation. They stopped attacking the array and replaced it with an array with stronger defensive power. Kill! The 8 demon emperors and the 9 demon emperors shouted at the same time and attacked again. The demonic fists and demonic palms landed again and again fiercely, causing the array to shake uncontrollably. A series of deafening explosions rang out, accompanied by the sound of porcelain shattering, muffled groans, vomiting blood, and miserable screams. Layers of arrays and layers of defense were soon riddled with holes and on the verge of collapse. None of the hundreds of people in the array could protect themselves. Their faces were pale, and their auras were weak. They had consumed a lot of energy. They were afraid that the array that they had set up with all their strength would be broken soon. At that time, all their lives would be in the hands of the two demon emperors. Not far away, Du Xiaofu, who was fighting with the first demon emperor, the second demon emperor, and the fourth demon emperor, also noticed this scene. His heart couldn't help but become heavier and heavier. The devil religion is so powerful. Is there really no other way? Du Xiaofu thought to himself. There was an indescribable heaviness in his heart. He had expected that the hundreds of powerhouses on the other side, even if they joined forces, would not be able to contend with the two demon emperors directly. It was only a matter of time before the array was broken. But he didn't expect that under the fierce attacks of the 8 demon emperors and the 9 demon emperors, the array that had gathered the strength of hundreds of people would be in danger of collapsing so quickly. At this time, he was pinned down by the 3 demon emperors and could barely take care of himself. He had no time to take care of those people. If he forcibly left the battlefield to deal with the 8 demon emperors and the 9 demon emperors, it would undoubtedly give the great demon emperor, the second demon emperor, and the fourth demon emperor an opportunity to attack the array. No matter what he did, it seemed that it would be difficult to change the outcome. Could it be that we can only watch as so many people perish here? A strong sense of powerlessness rose in Du Xiaofu's heart. Most of those people were his relatives and friends. They had come here because they were afraid that the demon gods would attack him. Therefore, they had come to help him. However, at this time, in the face of such a hopeless situation, he did not have enough strength to change everything. Du Xiaofu had never felt so powerless in his life. It was so powerless that it made his heart ache. Ha, ha, ha. You still have time to be distracted. Prepare to die. Just as Du Xiaofu was feeling annoyed, the fourth demon emperor's sinister laughter came from the side. Then, he only saw a flash of blood-red light in front of his eyes. The blood-red sickle had slashed ruthlessly at his chest. Qi La, purple and gold blood splattered everywhere. His body was cut open from top to bottom. It seemed that the sickle was going to cut open Du Xiaofu's stomach, revealing the beating internal organs in his chest. Ah! Du Xiaofu roared angrily. The heavenly palace of purple and gold in his hand moved across the sky. The broadsword cut open the void and the sword radiance was activated. It was aimed at the fourth demon emperor's head. Kill! The great demon emperor's gloomy and hoarse voice rang out. A sharp claw covered with scales quickly and ruthlessly imprinted on Du Xiaofu's back. Bang! Du Xiaofu's body was instantly sent flying. The sword radiance that was originally aimed at the fourth demon emperor also deviated and cut a deep gully in the void beside him. Du Xiaofu, how can you fight against the 3 of us by yourself? The 2 demon emperors spoke. Their demonic bodies moved rapidly in the void, approaching Du Xiaofu step by step. Du Xiaofu's figure landed in the distance. He did not reply. Instead, he quietly watched the 3 demon emperors encircle him again. His heart was filled with endless solemnity. It seemed that his side had already entered a deadly situation today. Chapter 2639. Translator, H2DH2 Mr. Translator, Nioibo Studio Editor. Nioibo Studio. Du Xiaofu temporarily broke away from the battle between the first demon emperor, second demon emperor, and fourth demon emperor to observe the situation. In the distance, little Xingxing was fighting fiercely with the fifth demon emperor, sixth demon emperor, and seventh demon emperor. However, little Xingxing was in a very bad situation under the joint attack of the 3 demon emperors. He was almost being suppressed. Fortunately, there was a huge turtle shell around the dragon's body, and it was releasing an insane defensive power that protected Little Star's body, making it difficult for the three demon emperors to do anything to it for the time being. Not far from Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Jialo Jueyu, and other experts who had reached the half-step Heavenly Saint realm were also fighting with more than 10 half-step Heavenly Saint realm experts from the devil religion. As the number of people on both sides was about the same, no one could do anything to the other. They were locked in a fierce battle. This kind of situation comforted Du Xiaofu a little. After all, although these people were in a bad situation, they would not be directly crushed by the devil religion. What worried Du Xiaofu the most was the hundreds of experts who were fighting against the two demon emperors. The death of every one of these people would be a great loss to his side. However, at this time, he was powerless to take care of them. He could not go and help them. Du Xiaofu, none of you will be able to escape today. And you, too, will die. The fourth demon emperor said gloomily. The blood-red scythe slashed horizontally in the void and swept toward Du Xiaofu. You want me to die? You can't do it. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes and said while gnashing his teeth. On his chest, the wound caused by the fourth demon emperor's blood-red scythe was healing at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. However, there was a thick demonic aura coiling around the wound, eroding his physical body. Even with the strength of his immortal Xian body, he could not recover as quickly as he should have. If you leave on your own, we might not be able to stop you. However, you simply cannot abandon those lowly reptiles. So today, only death awaits you. The great demon emperor said in a hoarse voice. Then, his devil claw tore through the void, and moved at an extremely fast speed. Then, he directly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. At the same time, the fourth demon emperor's crimson scythe had already reached his back. These two attacks were incomparably ferocious. The layers of demonic chi fluctuations caused the entire void to distort, and terrifying ripples appeared in the air. In the face of such terrifying attacks, Du Xiaofu's body flashed with a purple-gold light, and his body disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was outside the encirclement of the three demon emperors. Thunder martial vein, rise! Such a loud roar burst out from Du Xiaofu's throat. Immediately after, a bright thunder light rose from his body. It was like blood vessels, climbing on the surface of his body, like a net of light. Swoosh, the thunder martial vein rushed out and flew high above his head. Thunderbolts as thick as mountains danced in the sky, intertwining with each other and occupying the void. Spiritual thunder, go for me! Du Xiaofu shouted again. Between his eyebrows, 8 spiritual thunders, including the heavenly flame void thunder, the 3,000 quaking thunder, the great Yin sky thunder, and the golden crow sky burning thunder, rushed out with a whistling sound. They quickly rushed into the sky, wedged into the thunder martial vein, and positioned themselves in 8 directions. Between the 8 spiritual thunders, through the connection of the thunder martial vein, there was a subtle connection between them, which made their power even more powerful and terrifying. During this period of time, Du Xiaofu's 10 fingers moved swiftly, forming a series of obscure hand seals that were difficult to understand. As his movements fell, a bright 8 trigrams pattern suddenly appeared in the void above his head, exuding a terrible pressure. This 8 trigrams pattern overlapped with the thunder martial vein in the sky, and energy flowed between them, intertwining and reflecting each other. Whoosh, 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 the void shook violently. After the 8 trigrams pattern appeared in the void, a large amount of yin and yang qi appeared above and below Du Xiaofu's head. As the yin and yang qi flowed, clusters of flame spread out fiercely and formed a sea of fire around Du Xiaofu. It burned fiercely as if it could burn everything in the world. Swoosh, 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 as the yin and yang qi collided and rotated, scenes appeared in the 8 trigrams pattern in the void. Under the illumination of the thunderbolts and the sea of fire, towering mountains emerged, brazenly suppressing the world, and rivers, lakes, and seas flowed, surging and roaring. This scene caused the three demon emperors to feel a little shocked. However, they didn't take it too seriously. You have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. However, with your strength alone, you can't make any big waves. The demonic body of the second demon emperor stepped in the air. As he spoke, a terrible aura was brewing all over his body. Amidst the surging demonic chi, his body suddenly shook and rapidly expanded. In an instant, he had transformed into an incomparably majestic body. Compared to the demon god, who was still recovering in the distance, the body of the second demon emperor was not much smaller. His bulging muscles carried explosive power. His skin was bronze, and his muscles were tight. Without a doubt, there was a peerless power in his body. Impudent heavenly thunder, kill. Du Xiaofu stepped into the air, his robes fluttering in the wind. A ferocious roar came from his mouth. Then, with a loud boom, a huge thunderbolt shot out from the 8 trigrams in the void and slammed down on the majestic body of the second demon emperor. You are not weak, but that's all. Break it. As the second demon emperor shouted, he raised his fists and arms, which were like mountains moving horizontally in the void. He didn't dodge, but smashed toward the ferocious thunderbolt beam. Rumble. A terrifying shockwave shook the entire space. The thunderbolt beam was smashed into pieces and turned into violent energy fluctuations, which swept across the void. At the place where the giant fist and the thunderbolt beam collided, the void collapsed immediately and formed a huge black vortex. The black vortex rotated fiercely and swallowed all the shattered energy. There were many wounds on the giant fist of the second demon emperor. Demonic blood was spilling out like a drizzle. However, his aura was not affected at all. His body was still standing in the same place, as if he hadn't been shaken at all by this attack. On the other hand, Du Xiaofu kept retreating in the void. Every step he took created a deep black hole in the void. After retreating for more than 10 steps, his body gradually regained its balance. Kill. At this time, the attacks of the Great Demon Emperor and the 4 Demon Emperors arrived at the same time. A demonic claw, which was covered with black scales, stretched out and enlarged infinitely in the void. In the blink of an eye, it plunged into the 8 trigrams pattern in the void above Du Xiaofu's head. At the same time, the 4 Demon Emperors' blood-red scythes, which carried endless evil spirit, broke the void and fell under Du Xiaofu's feet, slashing on the illusory mountains and rivers. Boom! When the Great Demon Emperor's demonic claw hit the 8 trigrams pattern in the void above Du Xiaofu's head, a terrible explosion occurred instantly. The entire huge 8 trigrams pattern cracked open with a loud bang. Terrifying cracks appeared and spread out like a spider web. Meanwhile, the 4 Demon Emperors' blood-red scythes directly cut open the illusionary mountains and rivers, leaving a thin and straight gap in the middle. The 2 attacks fell almost at the same time. They were so fast that Du Xiaofu didn't even have time to react. Puff! Du Xiaofu, who was in the 8 trigrams pattern in the void, was violently shaken. He spat out a mouthful of blood and disappeared after creating a black hole in the void. His face paled a little, and his body couldn't help but be pushed back. The profound energy in the god's watchtower revolved rapidly, and continuously supported his body. Only then did the void 8 trigrams above his head stabilize, and didn't directly dissipate. However, for the Great Demon Emperor and the 4 Demon Emperors, they were not much better off than Du Xiaofu. The Great Demon Emperor retracted one of his claws and placed it on his waist. Drops of black blood dripped down and corroded the void. A large piece of scale on the back of his small hand was broken. In the hands of the 4 Demon Emperors, only the hilt of the blood-red scythe was left. The entire blade had been consumed. When they attacked Du Xiaofu, the 8 trigrams thunderbolt and the strange power of the 8 trigrams pattern and the mountains and rivers also attacked crazily, injuring both of them. They were all knocked back by the attack, and each of them was greatly shaken. At this moment, the 8 Demon Emperors' arrogant laughter came from afar. Keek keek. Ants, prepare to die. Du Xiaofu opened his eyes. In his gaze, the 8 Demon Emperor and the 9 Demon Emperor raised their hands and attacked continuously. Enormous power that could topple mountains and overturn seas rushed toward the Grand Array. The layers of Grand Arrays were hit by unparalleled attacks, and their brilliance dimmed. A turtle in a jar. No matter how you resist, you can only be slaughtered by me. You can't escape death. The 9 Demon Emperor snorted coldly. His fists were like meteors, and his arms were like dragons. With earth-shattering power, he smashed down violently again and landed directly on the layers of defensive Grand Arrays. Boom! Terrifying energy waves spread out as if the sky and earth were collapsing. A huge explosion erupted, and the entire space was trembling. Chi La, the layers of Grand Arrays were distorted in an instant. Then, several bright lights flickered and disappeared. Several layers of Grand Arrays were broken one after another and disappeared into nothingness. Bam! Bam! While everyone in the Grand Arrays vomited mouthfuls of blood, several Talisman Masters exploded into blood mists and died an unnatural death. After this, more than 100 people in the Grand Arrays were killed, and the Talisman Masters were almost completely wiped out. The rest of the people were also greatly exhausted and shaken. Each of them looked dispirited and pale. The layers of formations were already on the verge of collapse. Only 2 layers of formations were still operating, and they were making their last stand. Perhaps under the hands of the 2 Demon Emperors, the Grand Arrays would be destroyed with a single blow, and everyone would be exposed. In that case, the powerhouses would only have the fate of being massacred. Bastards! Looking at this scene, Du Xiaofu's eyes were bloodshot, and his heart was filled with hatred. He couldn't wait to rush over and tear the 8 Demon Emperor and the 9 Demon Emperor into pieces. However, he knew in his heart that even if he rushed over, it would be useless. As long as he went to deal with the 2 Demon Emperors, the Great Demon Emperor, the 2nd Demon Emperor, and the 4th Demon Emperor, who were being restrained by him, would act accordingly and attack the hundreds of powerhouses. Go to hell. He he. The 9 Demon Emperor laughed sinisterly again. Then, he struck out with his palm. Terrifying spatial ripples appeared around him, and he fiercely imprinted his palm on the crumbling Grand Arrays. Boom! Buzz, amidst the terrifying boom, there was a weak buzzing sound. Under everyone's gaze, the last 2 layers of Grand Arrays were directly blasted apart by the palm. However, less than half of the terrifying power of the 9 Demon Emperor's palm had been consumed. After the demonic palm broke through the Grand Arrays, its remaining power did not decrease. It went straight down and brazenly bombarded the crowd in the Grand Arrays. Boom! Another terrifying explosion was heard, and the sound waves spread in all directions, causing everyone's eardrums to be muddled. The hundreds of people who were originally in the Grand Arrays were directly exposed to the 9 Demon Emperor's ferocious palm. That terrifying impact instantly covered more than 10 figures within it. At this time, these people had all been exhausted to the limit and could not make any effective moves to resist. Moreover, with their strength and cultivation, they were completely unable to resist the Demon Emperor who was at the Heavenly Saint stage. All of them widened their eyes as they watched the 9 Demon Emperor's palm strike down. All of them could feel the powerful force invading their bodies. Then, there was a bang in their ears, and they lost all consciousness. In the distance, all of this fell into the eyes of Du Xiaofu. Bastard! Bastard! A terrifying roar suddenly erupted from his throat, and his eyes turned even redder. The dozens of people who had died were all people he was familiar with. Some were even close friends and relatives. Mu Qingge, Feng Wuxia, Lai Jiao, Zhong Yuan, Ren Yuan, Yao Tianwu, Jiang Yiting, Jialo Juekong, Hong Yu, his friends, his relatives, had all been blown into clouds of blood mist by that palm strike, disappearing into thin air. One by one, fresh lives disappeared, annihilated into nothingness. Keek keek, the nine-demon emperor laughed sinisterly. Demonic chi swirled around his body and swept out, entangling the clouds of blood mist in the void. Then, it rolled back and entered his demonic body. In an instant, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that the nine-demon emperor's aura was faintly rising. In the face of absolute strength, any amount of resistance is futile. Now, what other means do you have to fight against us? The massacre has only just begun. Keek keek. The eight-demon emperor laughed loudly. His body flashed, and he rushed towards the crowd who had lost the protection of the grand arrays. As the demonic chi transformed, it condensed into a blood-red demonic blade in his hand. There was a ferocious look on his face, and there was a bloodthirsty cruelty in his eyes. He looked at the remaining hundreds of people as if he was looking at lambs. Without any hesitation, he raised the demonic blade in his hand, rose into the air, and slashed it down fiercely. Vast demonic chi boiled, and an unparalleled force swept out, instantly enveloping dozens of people. Get lost! In the distance, Du Xiaofu shouted sternly, and blood seemed to gush out of his eyes. He did not hesitate. After a flash of golden light, he disappeared from the spot and appeared in front of the eight-demon emperor. The purple-gold heavenly tower emitted a buzzing sound, and an incomparably resplendent sword light appeared in an instant. It directly slashed at the eight-demon emperor's head, intercepting it. Du Xiaofu, open your eyes and take a good look at how these people are going to die today. Seeing that Du Xiaofu had stepped forward to stop the eight-demon emperor, the ninth demon emperor, who was not far away, laughed sinisterly and moved swiftly. He was not worried about the eight-demon emperor's safety at all. With his current strength, Du Xiaofu could easily deal with him. At this moment, he was slaughtering hundreds of stage experts in front of him, and it just so happened that he could distract the eight-demon emperor. As he spoke, the ninth demon emperor's palm shook the air, and demonic chi poured out crazily. It was like a heavenly river flowing in reverse. Get lost! Du Xiaofu's eyes were about to burst out of their sockets. He ruthlessly forced the eight-demon emperor back with a slash of his sword. Then, he used the Fuyao style and appeared in front of the ninth demon emperor again. He raised the purple-gold heavenly tower again and slashed it down. Du Xiaofu, how can you save them? You'd better take one last look at these people. At this moment, the great demon emperor, the second demon emperor, and the fourth demon emperor, who had been shaken off by Du Xiaofu, arrived at the same time and surrounded the remaining hundreds of people. The three of them moved at the same time, unleashing powerful attacks towards the powerful experts. Devil religion. Du Xiaofu's face turned green and swollen. He roared furiously with the divine sword and forced the ninth demon emperor back. Then, he waved his hand and the purple lightning profound cauldron was launched. The law of space and the law of lightning were activated at the same time, blocking the great demon emperor, the second demon emperor, and the fourth demon emperor in an attempt to delay them for a while. However, each of his attacks was quickly neutralized by the demon emperors. The demon emperors moved quickly and launched attacks at the people again. The boundlessly violent demonic chi descended from the sky, carrying with it an unparalleled force that caused even the void to crumble and collapse. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's heart was filled with a deep sense of despair. 5 demon emperors and 5 heavenly saints attacked at the same time. With just his strength alone, he could not stop them at all. Wasn't the reason why he had worked so hard to cultivate so desperately to protect the people he wanted to protect? Now, so many people were dying tragically in front of him, and there were hundreds of people behind him who were about to die at the hands of the demon emperors. However, he could not care about them at all. He. Go to hell. Du Xiaofu turned around and attacked the fourth demon emperor with his sword. Unexpectedly, the second demon emperor took the opportunity to close in on him and hit him on the back with his fist. Blarg, Du Xiaofu was caught off guard and spat out a mouthful of blood. On his back, the indestructible Xian body was torn apart and a deep fist print was left behind. Rock Emperor, don't worry about us. Although we are going to die, we have no regrets. We only hate ourselves for not being strong enough to kill more of the devil religion bastards and not being able to witness the annihilation of the devil religion. Rock Emperor, don't worry about us. You are the hope of all living things in this realm. Save your life and avenge us in the future. Rock Emperor, as long as you can wipe out the people of the devil religion from this realm one day, we will have no regrets even if we die. Seeing that Du Xiaofu was attacked, the powerhouses from the 3 continents, Kyushu, and other realms behind him shouted at Du Xiaofu weakly. Everyone knew that it would be very difficult for them to turn the situation around. With the power of the Rock Emperor alone, the lives of hundreds of people could not be saved no matter how many tricks he had up his sleeve. Instead of watching Du Xiaofu being toyed with by the demon emperors, they would rather give up their lives and deal with the devil religion. Although these demon emperors were powerful, there was an even more terrifying demon god in the distance who was recovering and had yet to awaken. If Du Xiaofu could not protect himself and increase his strength, then this realm would really be reduced to a demon realm, and all living things would not be able to escape death. Brother Xiaofu, don't worry about us, just deal with the demon emperors with all your strength. Du Xiaofu launched the Fuyao First style, once again, and blocked the claw of the great demon emperor which was aimed at many experts. However, he heard a crisp female voice from the crowd, and it resounded in his ears. He was so familiar with this voice. Who else could it be other than the pure and lovely Dai Xinyu? Hearing those words, Du Xiaofu felt even more grief in his heart. Do I really have to sacrifice so many lives in this great calamity? Do I have to watch my family and friends die one by one and not save them for the sake of the big picture? I can't do that. What should I do? Du Xiaofu used all his tricks, including the purple thunder mysterious cauldron, the thunder martial vein, the purple gold heavenly palace, the law of space, the law of thunder and lightning, and many other magic skills, to stop the 5 demon emperors with difficulty. However, during this period, he was also attacked by the great demon emperor, the 2nd demon emperor, and the 8th demon emperor, which caused him to suffer serious injuries. However, because of this, the lives of hundreds of powerhouses in the 3 continents and the Kyushu region were temporarily saved. However, everyone's hearts were heavy. This was because there was a time when Du Xiaofu would be completely exhausted under the joint attack of the 5 demon emperors. At that time, not to mention the hundreds of powerhouses of the Sage Realm, even Du Xiaofu would be in great danger. Everyone felt despair in their hearts. How they wished that Du Xiaofu could go all out and fight against the demon emperors instead of putting himself in danger for them and the others. However, they knew that Du Xiaofu didn't want to see them die here. The demon god has not fully recovered, but the demon emperors dare to be so arrogant. Do you really think that we are all dead? Just as everyone was at a loss, a voice suddenly rang out in the void. Then, several figures flew across the sky and arrived at the battlefield in the blink of an eye. Chapter 2640. When the voice rang out, Du Xiaofu was overjoyed. That domineering sentence was like the sound of nature in his ears. Under the joint attack of the demon emperors, more than half of the pressure he had to bear was released. Fui Bai. Du Xiaofu glanced behind him in surprise, only to see 5 figures rushing over. Before the 5 of them arrived, a large amount of dazzling light broke through the sky. The vast light condensed into a huge sharp sword in the void. It was as if it had pierced through the void from the ancient times and came to the present world. Radiance covered the world from the sharp sword in the air, causing everything in the area to dim down slightly. An enormous aura of righteousness wrapped around it, and it seemed as if it could annihilate all evil and ferocious beings in the world. The sword slashed directly at the great demon emperor's head. Master! Master! Among the crowd from the Kyushu region of the 3 continents, the pale-faced Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xinyu shouted at the 5 figures rushing over. Old farts, how dare you talk nonsense here? don't you know that we are no longer the same as before? The great demon emperor snorted coldly, his voice hoarse and deep. However, when he saw the 5 figures rushing over, a grave look appeared on his thin and weak face. He extended a black claw that was covered in scales. Dense demonic aura surged as he directly grabbed at the sword light with an incomparably imposing aura. Chi chi chi, when the sharp claw and the sword light collided, the 2 opposing forces instantly intertwined and consumed each other. The terrifying energy shattered and swept out, drowning the entire area in an instant. At the same time, 4 figures rushed toward the 2nd Demon Emperor, the 4th Demon Emperor, the 8th Demon Emperor, and the 9th Demon Emperor respectively. In an instant, they were engaged in a fierce battle. This, behind Du Xiaofu, a group of experts from the 3 continents and Kyushu region of the 3 continents rose from the void in a sorry state. They were all moved by this sudden scene. Everyone knew what had happened. An expert had come to their aid. It's the East Deity, the West Demon, the South Scholar, the North Addict, and the Central Divinity. Very soon, someone learned of the identities of these 5 people and recognized them. I didn't expect them to have reached the Heavenly Saint stage and be able to fight the Demon Emperors head-on. Many people became excited, and their pale faces were filled with joy. Facing the full force of the Demon Emperors, these experts Demon Emperors, who had escaped death, they were saved by Du Xiaofu's Demon Emperors. At this moment, with the arrival of so many powerful reinforcements, they were naturally extremely excited. There was a sense of joy from surviving a calamity. Looking at the terrifying battle, all of them were looking forward to the few experts defeating the numerous Demon Emperors. What a pity, so many people. Someone suddenly said, someone, the is? From the moment everyone entered this space to the moment they comprehended and broke through, there were no less than 200 experts from the 3 continents and 9 continents that had perished. In addition, many of them had died in the foggy space. The death of so many experts, all of whom were at the Heavenly Saint stage and above, was a great loss to the living beings in this world. Most of the people who had died were familiar with each other, and many of them were close friends. At this moment, many of them were grieving. If it weren't for the Rock Emperor, we would have died a violent death. This is a great calamity, a calamity that no one can escape from. Everything has just begun, and I don't know how many more people are going to die. In the primordial age, there was a tragic scene like this. Now, it's just a continuation of the primordial age. I hope all of this will end soon in our time. Many experts were gloomy, and their hearts were filled with grief and indignation. Regarding the calamity caused by the devil religion, everyone was filled with sorrow. Big Brother Xiaofu, how are you feeling? Dai Xingyu walked up to Du Xiaofu in the air and asked softly while everyone was lamenting. What about you? Don't worry, I'm fine. Du Xiaofu squeezed out a smile and said to Dai Xingyu. The qi in his body circulated continuously as he adjusted his breathing. The wounds on his chest and back were also slowly healing under the effect of the immortal Xian body. After the arrival of Fu Yibai and the others, his hands were slightly free. Seeing that little Xingxing's battle situation was a little tense, but fortunately, there wasn't much danger for the time being. Du Xiaofu also took the opportunity to recover from his injuries. 5 people, all of them at the Heavenly Saint stage. Seeing Fu Yibai, Crazy O, and the others fighting the Devil Emperor, Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed. These 5 people were indeed the people arranged by the Master of the 3,000 Great Worlds. Their strength was indeed powerful. He originally thought that after breaking through to the half-step Heavenly Saint stage, he was already at the top of this world. He didn't expect the strength of these 5 people to be so terrifying. However, it was fortunate that this was the case. Otherwise, the hundreds of Heavenly Saint stage experts here would really be wiped out in today's battle. Xingyu, take everyone and leave this place first. Du Xiaofu turned his head and said to Dai Xingyu, Ouyang Shuang, and the others. The hundreds of experts here wouldn't be of much use in the face of a few heavenly saint-staged devil emperors. It was better to let them leave and preserve their strength to deal with the people of the devil religion outside. Then be careful and take good care of little Qilin. Ouyang Shuang reminded Du Xiaofu and then looked at little Qilin, who was fighting with the half-step heavenly saints of the devil religion. Brother Xiaofu, be careful. We'll wait for you outside. Dai Xingyu said with concern. Then, without further delay, they gathered the experts and prepared to leave this place. Rock Emperor, we'll leave first. Grand Wizard, we'll leave first. Rock Emperor, take care. Many experts cupped their fists and bowed deeply to Du Xiaofu from afar. Then, the hundreds of heavenly saint stage experts turned around and quickly retreated into the distance. They knew very well that they had used up too much of their strength and were unable to continue fighting. If they stayed here, they would only be a burden to Du Xiaofu and the others. It was better for them to leave so that the experts wouldn't be distracted. However, everyone's hearts were heavy. This was because Du Xiaofu and the others were not only going to face a few heavenly saint-staged devil emperors, but also a demon god who was still recovering and could wake up at any time. At that time, no one knew what the situation would be like. Now, it's time for you to pay the price. After watching the experts leave, Du Xiaofu heaved a sigh of relief. Then, his eyes suddenly narrowed. He turned around and looked at the 5 demon emperors in the field. Then, 2 bright thunderbolts shot out from his eyes. His robe had been torn into pieces. However, at this time, it was stretched taut in the void and fluttered in the wind. His domineering aura kept rising from his body. The purple-gold light shot out and made him look like a deity. Senior Bei Qi, go and help little Xingxing. Leave 9 demon emperor to me. Du Xiaofu said in a low voice. Then, he flew out and rushed to 9 demon emperor. Okay. Crazy, replied. Then, in a flash, he got rid of 9 demon emperor and rushed toward the 5th demon emperor, 6th demon emperor, and 7th demon emperor to help little Xingxing. 9 demon emperor, prepare to die. Du Xiaofu shouted. He waved one of his palms in the void. With a boom, a thick thunderbolt was formed in the blink of an eye. It was like a huge mountain range that was blooming with light. Then, it blasted toward 9 demon emperor. Du Xiaofu, you are far from enough to kill me. 9 demon emperor snorted. His aura suddenly surged. He did not dodge. Instead, he rushed toward the fierce thunderbolt. At the same time, a steady stream of demon qi gathered in his palms. As if it was ignited by some mysterious force, it quickly condensed into 2 gloomy black flames. These 2 flames seemed to have come from the netherworld. Once they appeared, the temperature in the void fell instead of rising. It suddenly became so cold that it sent chills down one's spine. Gloomy dark flame, kill. 9 demon emperor shouted. Then, he waved his hands. The 2 gloomy black flames were shot out by him. They expanded in the wind and instantly became tens of thousands of feet wide. In this space, it was as if a severe cold had suddenly arrived. Frost fell and sprinkled down. Even the lightning pillar was enveloped by the frost, its luster becoming a little hazy. These 2 flames were like 2 barriers that stood in front of 9 demon emperor. They blocked the thunderbolt directly. Boom, the 2 collided with a loud bang, and the lightning beam seemed to have hit a huge mountain, causing a terrifying roar to erupt. The 2 forces were shattered in an instant. Dazzling light mixed with gloomy black light. They intertwined and collided violently, forming a matchless storm that swept out. Countless talisman markings surged like raging waves that whistled and surged. Everywhere they passed, expanse after expanse of space collapsed and obliterated everything. 9 demon emperor retreated unconsciously in this torrent of energy. He did not dare to stay there. Kill. However, Du Xiaofu did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. With a flash of purple gold light, he activated the Fuyao flash and disappeared from where he was. When he reappeared, he was already in front of 9 Demon Emperor. This move again. It's a pity that it's not very useful in front of me. 9 Demon Emperor snorted coldly in the face of Du Xiaofu's move. He had seen this strange space technique many times. When he was in Snow Spirit Mountain, he was killed by Du Xiaofu before he could self-explode. However, he was now in the Heaven Saint realm. Although his attainments in the law of space were not as good as the purple-robed young man's, it would not be so easy for him to take advantage of this unexpected move to kill him again. When this move was used, it did not cause any spatial fluctuations. Therefore, no one could detect Du Xiaofu's movement. However, 9 Demon Emperor had enough means to deal with any subsequent attack. As he spoke, 9 Demon Emperor moved. Heavenly Demon Blood Armor, form for me. He placed his hands in front of his chest. His 10 fingers crossed and changed constantly. Strange and indescribable hand seals were formed in an instant. Following that, an extremely strange and majestic aura descended upon the area. This aura was no different from the aura of the demon god. It was vast and ferocious, containing an endless bloodthirsty aura. It surged violently and invaded every inch of space. When one was in it, it was as if one could see a sea of blood flowing in the sky. Mountains of corpses were floating in it, emitting a ferocious aura. At the same time, the moment the aura descended, layers of demonic chi gathered around 9 Demon Emperor and enveloped his body. The demonic chi solidified and covered his body like a suit of armor. It flickered with a cold blood-red light. Holy Sword Roar. At this time, just as 9 Demon Emperor was done with all this, Du Xiaofu's attack descended. A sword light that pierced through the heavens and the earth rose into the sky, causing the entire space to tremble violently. The sword light slashed straight at the 9 Demon Emperor without any deviation. In a hurry, 9 Demon Emperor did not have time to use any more techniques. He could only cross his arms and raise them above his head to receive the sword light. Boom! Boom! The sword light slashed down and mercilessly slashed 9 Demon Emperor's arms. The terrifying power was vast and mighty. It directly sent the armored demonic body flying thousands of miles away. The sword light's momentum did not diminish. It brazenly slashed down and landed in the void, creating a ravine that looked like a fiery abyss. It was suffused with a pitch-black luster and completely engulfed the sword light. What an insane defense! Du Xiaofu withdrew his sword. He realized that although 9 Demon Emperor had been sent flying, he did not suffer any injuries after taking the blow from the sword light. Only the blood-red armor on his arms had been shattered. His flesh and blood had been torn apart, revealing his eerie bones. Wisps of demonic chi swirled and swirled around his wounds. Very soon, they had recovered slightly. Moreover, the shattered armor was once again condensed and restored to its original appearance. Du Xiaofu, I can't kill you one-on-one. However, I have the heavenly demonic blood armor. My defense is close to that of Lord Demon God. What means do you have to say that you can kill me? 9 Demon Emperor looked at Du Xiaofu and said with a hideous smile. The blow just now did not seem to hurt him at all. It did not cause him any injuries at all. With Du Xiaofu's current strength, he could not completely break through his defense. Although that kid had many tricks up his sleeves, it was absolutely impossible for him to kill him. Comparable to a demon god's defense? Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes and felt a little solemn. On the other side, Fu Yibai, Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, and the others were all fighting very intensely. If they could not get rid of 9 Demon Emperor as soon as possible, no one knew if someone would unfortunately die. Moreover, there was a demon god who was rapidly recovering and could wake up at any time. It seems like I can only fight with my life on the line. Chapter 2641. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. After witnessing the 9 Demon Emperor's insane defense, he didn't want to test it out again because he really didn't have the time to waste. Whether it was his sister Du Xiaojing, his drunkard father, Du Xiaoyao, or little Xingxing, Fu Yibai, and the others, they all needed his support. If he wanted to break the current situation, he had to kill at least one Demon Emperor. Although the 9 Demon Emperor's blood-red armor condensed from demonic qi was strong enough, if he really went all out, it didn't mean that he couldn't do anything to him. The defense of the 9 Demon Emperor's armor was said to be close to that of a demon god, but from that attack just now, Du Xiaofu knew that such a defense was only said in name. Even if it was comparable to a demon god's defense, it definitely wouldn't be a demon god at his peak. Otherwise, his holy sword roar wouldn't have been able to break the armor and injure the 9 Demon Emperor. However, although he knew this, it didn't mean that Du Xiaofu underestimated the 9 Demon Emperor at this time. At the very least, the 9 Demon Emperor's defense was not much weaker than his immortal Xian body. With that thought in mind, Du Xiaofu's hand moved. The purple gold heavenly tower in his hand suddenly trembled and gathered an immeasurable amount of energy, shining brightly. Then, his body flashed and disappeared in the void. He used the Fuyao style and directly rushed in front of the 9 Demon Emperor, breaking through the void. Dominating Sword Wei. Du Xiaofu roared. The broadsword carried an extremely sharp aura, flashing and unstoppable. Without any fancy moves, it slashed toward the 9 Demon Emperor's head. Roar, as the sword fell, the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise roared ferociously, shaking the void. A terrifying pressure instantly spread out in the air. The incomparably dominating sword aura cut through the void and fell on the 9 Demon Emperor's head. Humph! The 9th Demon Emperor snorted coldly. As he retreated, the blood-red armor on his body squirmed and transformed, covering his head and face, forming an even tighter defense. Even his eyes were covered by a thin layer of demonic light. Du Xiaofu's spatial technique was too strange. Even if the 9 Demon Emperor wanted to dodge it, it was too late. No matter where he went, the other party would be able to catch up to him in a flash. Therefore, he could only defend with all his might and passively fight. As for Du Xiaofu, it was obvious that he wanted to pursue him with all his might in an attempt to kill him. How could such thoughts be hidden from the 9 Demon Emperor? If you want to hurt me, you'll have to pay the price yourself. Limitless underworld flames, kill. The 9 Demon Emperor bellowed coldly as he watched Du Xiaofu's broadsword descend upon his head. He could clearly feel the terrifying sharpness of the sword descending upon him, causing his heart to palpitate for no reason. However, due to the protection of the blood-red armor, the 9 Demon Emperor was not worried that this attack would cause him too much damage. Instead of being chased by Du Xiaofu, he would rather fight it out with him. Even if he was injured, he would not let his opponent have an easy time. As the 9 Demon Emperor spoke, he raised both his palms at the same time. Demonic qi continued to gather on his palms, condensing into 2 balls of dark flames. Then, he clasped his palms together. Within the raging flames, the 2 balls of flames instantly collided and fused together, turning into an even more vast ball of black flames. His aura skyrocketed. Following that, an extremely strange and boundless aura spread out. The flames burned silently, as if they had burned through the netherworld and had come to this world. When such a ball of flames was formed, Du Xiaofu's sword light had already landed heavily on the 9 Demon Emperor's head. Qi La, the domineering sharpness of the sword light slashed down, wreaking havoc and cutting through the armor on the 9 Demon Emperor's head. During this process, the purple gold heavenly palace's momentum was greatly hindered, and its strength was reduced by more than 70%. However, the remaining ferocious force still managed to break through the 9 Demon Emperor's armor and landed on his head. That sharp aura directly cut through the 9 Demon Emperor's scalp and penetrated into his skull. Only then did it stop its momentum. At this time, the ball of dark flames in the 9 Demon Emperor's hands brazenly bombarded Du Xiaofu's chest. Boom! With the huge impact, Du Xiaofu's body was sent flying again. That ball of serene flame immediately shattered, exploding and scattering in the air. The surrounding temperature suddenly dropped, as if a severe cold had suddenly arrived, freezing the entire void. In the distant sky, Du Xiaofu forcibly stopped himself in the void and swallowed a mouthful of blood. At his chest, there was a bloody mess, which was caused by the Nine-Demon Emperor. The flesh at the wound was covered with a layer of frost, emitting a faint cold air. The defense is indeed strong enough. Du Xiaofu circulated the Xian Qi in his body, and the immortal Xian body automatically repaired the wound. His eyes were burning as he looked at the Nine-Demon Emperor. On the demon's body, the armor on his head cracked, and a 2-finger-wide crack appeared on his skull. Demon blood gushed out like a fountain. Ah! The Nine-Demon Emperor hugged his head and let out a howl in pain. After a fierce battle, both of them were seriously injured, and their blood and qi were shaken. Void 8 trigrams. After a while, Du Xiaofu suddenly shouted, and the purple gold heavenly palace in his hand was released, and it floated in the void in front of him. Then, his 10 fingers moved rapidly, forming a series of complicated and strange hand seals. Buzz! As the hand seals formed, the void 8 trigrams formed again in the sky above him, circling and emitting a vast aura. At the same time, the thunder martial vein and the 8 spiritual thunders rushed out at the same time, entangling with the 8 trigrams, and complementing each other. Boom! Boom! Whoosh! Whoosh! Heavenly lightning, earthly fire, mountains, rivers, and lakes appeared above his head and below his feet, setting off his purple-robed body, making him look like a deity. Kill! In the void 8 trigrams, Du Xiaofu reached out and grabbed the purple gold heavenly palace in front of him. Then, he stretched out his body and dove toward the Nine-Demon Emperor. The void 8 trigrams, thunder martial vein, heavenly lightning, earthly fire, mountains, rivers, and lakes, everything moved with his body in the void, and in a flash, he was next to the Nine-Demon Emperor. Heaven above and earth shaking, heavenly lightning destruction. Du Xiaofu shouted. Under the 8 trigrams, heavenly lightning rolled, lightning flashed, and thunder roared. Dazzling runes intertwined to form a giant lightning net, which traversed the universe. The yang qi swept out and suppressed the Nine-Demon Emperor directly. God-slaying heavenly demon fist, open for me. Facing Du Xiaofu's attack again, the Nine-Demon Emperor swung his fist violently. Layers of demonic qi gathered on his fist, and he fiercely smashed it toward the giant lightning net. Boom! Terrifying vibrations spread out. The moment the two different energies collided, they instantly exploded. Dense runes and mysterious runes surged out, whistling in all directions like a flock of ants leaving their nest. They eroded the void, forming a terrifying black hole, which seemed to be able to devour everything. The two people in the center of the energy surged out of their bodies, and they quickly retreated from the area. While retreating, Du Xiaofu's hands were still forming seals, and an invisible power rippled. With him as the center, the 8 trigrams in the void continued to spread out. The 8 trigrams evolved, changed, and derived, heaven above and earth below, earthly fire bright destruction. As Du Xiaofu's hand seals changed, billowing flames spewed out from the void under his feet. It was like a sea of fire rising, intertwining, entangling, and fusing with the lightning to form an even more powerful attack. Kid, I won't let you have an easy time today. The Nine-Demon Emperor roared angrily. He waved his fists again, and he fought with Du Xiaofu. Both of them had profound cultivations, and their strength was not ordinary. Every move they made contained an enormous amount of power. The thunder roared, the sea of fire boiled, and waves of demonic qi surged, causing the void to be annihilated, and the world to lose its color. However, when one's strength had reached such a level, it was difficult for anyone to deal with the other party in a short time. However, Du Xiaofu adopted the method of exchanging injury for injury, and fighting with his life on the line. He was fighting with his life on the line, and he would be able to last until the end. For a time, purple gold blood and demonic blood scattered, igniting the void. Attack after attack landed on each other, and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. On the other side, Du Xiaoyao and the other half-step heavenly saint experts were locked in a fierce battle. In the lineup of the Sanlu Kyushu realm, besides Du Xiaoyao who had reached the half-step heavenly saint realm, there were also Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Jialo Jueyu, Little Qilin, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, Zi Xian, Du Xiaohuang, Chang Guyu, and so on. There were a total of 14 half-step heavenly saints. On the side of the devil religion, there were 12 half-step heavenly saint experts. The overall strength of both sides was not too different, but because everyone had just broken through, there was not an insurmountable gap in their cultivation. So, for a time, no one could do anything to the other. However, the experts of the 3 continents and the 9 continents were at a slight advantage in the overall battle because they had the advantage in numbers. However, it was not easy to take down the devil religion in a short period of time. To the people of the devil religion, although they were at a disadvantage in numbers, they had more than enough to protect themselves. Among the people of the devil religion, the ones who received the most care were Moksha and Mo Lingzi. Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaojing attacked together and fought fiercely with Moksha. Both of them knew that Moksha should have the divine thunder cauldron on him. Now that they had reached the most critical moment, the importance of the divine thunder cauldron was obvious. Only by suppressing this person would they have the chance to obtain the purple thunder cauldron. Because of the joint attack of the 2 terrifying experts, Moksha seemed to be a little flustered and did not have time to deal with it. In the end, he actually summoned 2 divine thunder cauldrons and attacked Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaojing at the same time. You actually have 2 divine thunder cauldrons on you. Today, they are mine. Du Xiaoyao's huge redbone horse monkey body occupied the void. Her huge palms swept across the sky and broke the sky. She roared angrily and pressed down on Moksha again and again. Du Xiaojing's slender figure also moved. Her fierce attacks were like a storm, covering Moksha within. Not far away from Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, and Moksha, Mo Lingzi's situation was almost the same as Moksha's. Du family's bloodline, but you are willing to be the lackey of the devil religion. Damn it! Du Tingxuan's long lightning spear pierced through the boundless void and attacked fiercely. Today, we will take off his hood and take a good look at his identity and how he is related to my Du family. Du Yunlong controlled the hallowed bell and moved horizontally in the void. A boundless and heavy aura exploded and crushed the sky. Now, I am also a half-step heavenly saint and am not weaker than the 2 of you. So, if you want to touch me, the 2 of you are not enough. Unless Du Xiaofu personally takes action. Mo Lingzi's black robe covered his body and his face, making others unable to see his true appearance. His tone was calm and unwavering. Even though he was surrounded by 2 people, he still seemed to be extremely calm. Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, and Mo Lingzi all had lightning martial veins. In the fierce battle, terrifying lightning constantly collided and intertwined in the void, releasing a terrifying aura. To deal with you, there is no need for my 3rd brother to take action. Du Yunlong snorted coldly. His cloud robe fluttered, and the hallowed bell was like an extremely majestic mountain. It carried a terrifying force and pressed down with a rumble, falling directly on Mo Lingzi's head. Dang! A vast bell sound reverberated, deafening the deaf and causing the heaven and earth to tremble. The endless heavy aura was emitted, and the light was like the water of the Milky Way as it poured down, shattering and disintegrating the void. With just the 2 of us, it's enough to kill you. Du Tingxuan's spear pierced out, breaking through layers of spatial obstructions, and directly approaching Mo Lingzi. Roar! A lightning dragon roared and rushed out from the spear, breaking the void with its roar. The dragon opened its mouth wide, wanting to swallow Mo Lingzi's entire body. I said, the 2 of you are not enough. Divine lightning cauldron, go. Mo Lingzi lightly snorted and suddenly waved his hands. Two black shadows whizzed out. One went to meet the hallowed bell above his head, and the other went to block the lightning dragon in front of him. When the two black shadows streaked across the void, there was a vast purple-gold lightning crazily pouring down with monstrous momentum. You actually have two divine lightning cauldrons. The devil religion really thinks highly of you. Such a scene caused Du Tingxuan's gaze to harden fiercely. The reason why he and Du Yunlong didn't let Mo Lingzi go was indeed because they wanted to know his true identity. In fact, Du Tingxian had already guessed it in his heart. However, without seeing it with his own eyes, he wasn't willing to believe it. It could be said that Mo Lingzi's existence had already become a knot in Du Tingxuan's heart. If he couldn't personally take off his hood and see his true appearance, this knot in his heart would be hard to untie. At this moment, Mo Lingzi raised his hand and threw out two divine lightning cauldrons. It could be seen that the devil religion really thought highly of this person. Who knew if there was some unspeakable secret behind this move? I have the lightning martial vein and the help of the divine lightning cauldrons. What makes you think you can suppress me? Mo Lingzi calmly said, not caring about Du Tingxian and Du Yunlong's attacks at all. The two divine lightning cauldrons whistled through the air and collided with the hallowed bell and the lightning dragon at almost the same time. Boom, dang, a huge explosion and the sound of the bell resonated at the same time. Instantly, a terrifying sound wave rippled out and impacted in all directions. The hallowed bell was struck into the air, humming and vibrating endlessly. As for the lightning dragon that Du Tingxian stabbed out, it exploded in a split second. The destroyed lightning was crazily devoured by the divine lightning cauldrons. The figures of the three of them moved backwards at the same time, dodging the torrent of energy that filled the sky. Du Tingxian and Du Yunlong retreated 100 miles before stabilizing their bodies. Looking at Mo Lingzi again, he was sent tumbling away by the two's attacks, and only stopped after 1,000 miles. So what if you have the divine lightning cauldrons? I'm afraid you don't even have the ability to refine them. Du Yunlong lightly snorted. His body stretched taut like a large bow as he abruptly shot towards Mo Lingzi in the air. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and beckoned. The hallowed bell hummed as it moved, crushing through the endless void and fiercely crushing towards Mo Lingzi's location. Kill! When Du Yunlong made his move, Du Tingxian also made his move. The thunder dragon spear in his hand was dragged behind him as he stepped on the endless void and ran wildly. With every step he took, the void directly burst open. Kill! Mo Lingzi also lightly shouted. Endless purple-gold lightning poured out from the two divine lightning cauldrons and poured into the lightning martial vein outside his body. In the blink of an eye, the thunderbolts above his thunder martial vein became incomparably thick, releasing an extremely terrifying aura. Walala, under Mo Lingzi's control, the lightning martial vein followed in the void. This lightning martial vein that was supported by the divine lightning cauldrons was like a huge net that enveloped the sky. Bolts of purple-gold lightning bombarded down and collided with Du Tingxian and Du Yunlong once again. Xiao Jing, I'll leave this moksha to you for a while. I'll go help your father and kill that Mo Lingzi first. In the distance, Du Xiaoyao spied on the scene over there and couldn't help but say to Du Xiaojing. That pair of scarlet pheasant monkey eyes that were as bright as the sun bloomed with golden light. No problem, leave this to me. Du Xiaojing responded. Her beautiful figure flashed, and one attack after another was launched towards Moksha. In fact, she was also very puzzled in her heart. Who was that Mo Lingzi's true identity? What kind of relationship did he have with the Du family? Why did he have the lightning martial vein? Her father seemed to have already guessed it, but he wasn't willing to mention it. She also didn't want to ask too much. However, this matter wasn't only a knot in her father's heart for Du Tingxian, it was also an unresolvable gloom for the entire Du family. Through her brother's information, Many people in the Du family knew that the lightning martial vein was set up by the Du family's ancestor. However, their ancestor fell because of the demon god. Now, there was a descendant who had the lightning martial vein who was willing to be controlled by the demon god. This made everyone in the Du family feel very puzzled, and at the same time, indescribable grief and indignation. Chapter 2642. It could be said that as long as Mo Lingzi wasn't eliminated, it would be a stain on the entire Du family. To the Du family, a person who had forgotten his ancestors was someone that everyone had the right to punish. Du Xiaojing was also a member of the Du family, so of course, he also had such a complex. Now that everyone had broken through to the half-step heavenly saint realm, her father and second brother were still unable to take down Mo Lingzi even under their joint efforts. This made her feel somewhat anxious in her heart. At this moment, Du Xiaoyao proposed to help her father and second brother deal with Mo Lingzi, and she immediately agreed to it. Aoo! Du Xiaoyao's red-bone horse monkey's body let out an earth-shaking roar, and her mountain-like figure crossed over. With a few strides, she had already arrived in the middle of Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, and Mo Lingzi's battle circle. That enormous red-bone horse monkey's palm descended from the sky, and endless mighty force poured out, as if it covered the entire sky, shattering the void. You think you can do anything to me just because you have more people? Facing Du Xiaoyao's ferocious addition, Mo Lingzi spoke calmly. However, he didn't dare to be the slightest bit negligent when he made his move. The strength of these three people wasn't inferior to him. If he didn't treat them seriously, he might really die here today. Nether Blood Light, Hell's Gate. Open. Mo Lingzi let out a deep roar as his hands continuously formed seals. A bizarre and indescribable charm rapidly spread out in this space. Immediately after, a huge crack suddenly appeared in the void. Endless evil aura surged out from the crack, spreading out in the void. In the eyes of Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, and Du Xiaoyao, waves of evil aura surged in the void like raging waves. In just an instant, the evil aura condensed into a substance, turning into a sea of blood that overflowed the sky. Woo! Suddenly, the wails of evil spirits resounded from within the spatial crack. Following that, one after another, ferocious scarlet eyes shot out from within, followed by countless evil spirits and evil spirits. Like an army of the netherworld, they broke through the seal of the domain, stepping on turbid waves of evil aura beneath their feet. Their bloody claws were sharp, and their fangs were dense. The instant they charged out of the crack, they pounced towards Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, and Du Xiaoyao. Roar! A large swathe of malicious ghosts rushed up into the sky, directly entangling little demon Du's huge golden palm. A terrifying dark and ruthless aura was released, the fanged halberd opened, and the sharp claws tore. In just a moment, it caused little demon Du's huge palm to peel off a large amount of golden light, and the originally fierce and ferocious aura also weakened a little in an instant. You have the lightning martial vein, but you use such a sinister trick. Du Tingxian snorted coldly. His long spear was like a wild dragon, fiercely thrusting out, and the vast power of thunder and lightning. With a twist, a large number of evil spirits that pounced in front of him were shattered into pieces in the void. Clang! Under Du Yunlong's control, the sacred bell of laying desolation rang loudly. After a deafening sound, countless evil spirits collapsed and dissipated into nothingness. Evil spirits, kill them all. Du Tingxian shouted loudly. With a wave of his hand, the lightning martial vein moved, and terrifying thunderbolts struck down, tearing through the void and shaking the universe. The mighty yang aura swept out, carrying the power to destroy everything, and directly enveloped the evil spirits that filled the sky. Thunderbolts poured down, roaring, and roaring. Large numbers of evil spirits were directly blasted into pieces by this fierce and overbearing power. You want to stop me with such petty tricks? Do you really think I'm a vegetarian? Du Xiaoyao shouted coldly. His huge palm swept across the sky, facing the evil spirits, and did not dodge. His palm fiercely slammed down, brazenly crushing countless evil spirits, and evil spirits were crushed into pieces, and they let out miserable cries that sounded like they were crying to the heavens and the earth. Then, the energy in Du Xiaoyao's body erupted, and the momentum of his palm did not decrease at all, directly slamming into the boundless sea of blood. Sacred bell of laying desolation, suppress. Du Yunlong also moved, and an incomparably heavy aura erupted from the sacred bell of laying desolation. It was as if a mountain was collapsing, and bright thunderbolts lingered on it, adding to its ferocious power. Qi La, the boundless sea of blood in the void, directly collapsed under the power of the huge redbone horse monkey's palm and the sacred bell of laying desolation. Boom boom boom, violent explosions resounded, and densely packed runes flew out. It was as if 10,000 mountains were collapsing, and 1,000 waves came roaring, causing the entire void to boil. The spatial crack that seemed to connect the netherworld to hell melted like ice under the terrifying fluctuations. Kill! Mo Lingzi roared. He never thought that he would be able to stop the three of them with this method. Seeing that Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, and Du Xiaoyao were quickly breaking his method, his figure also moved. In each of his hands, there was a purple lightning profound cauldron, and he fiercely threw them in the direction of Du Xiaoyao and Du Yunlong. Among the three of them, the ones that he feared the most were these two. One of them had the body of a redbone horse monkey, and the other controlled an unparalleled treasure like the sacred bell of laying desolation. Only by relying on the purple lightning profound cauldron could he slightly contend against the three of them. After the two divine lightning cauldrons were thrown out, Mo Lingzi's figure flashed, and he pounced towards Du Tingxian. Two masses of demonic qi were enshrouded in his palms. After he fiercely clapped his hands, they turned into a black spear, piercing through the void and releasing a terrifying aura. Come on! Du Tingxian lightly shouted, and the lightning dragon spear in his hand fiercely shook. Spatial ripples spread out, and terrifying lightning swirled around. Just as Mo Lingzi was about to get close, the spear swung horizontally, and the bright lightning turned into a thick dragon, sweeping out with its tail. Such a lightning dragon tail fiercely collided with Mo Lingzi's demonic qi that was formed by the demonic qi. After a bang sound, the two forces shattered one after another. Terrifying energy waves rippled, and the two figures were sent flying at the same time. Mo Lingzi, die. At this time, Du Xiaoyao and Du Yunlong had repelled the two purple lightning profound cauldrons, and they had already surrounded Mo Lingzi. Taking advantage of the time when he was sent flying, Du Yunlong's conquering sacred bell and Du Xiaoyao's huge golden palm, one in front and one behind, arrived in front of Mo Lingzi, and suppressed him. In his panic, Mo Lingzi didn't have time to make an effective defense. Demonic qi surged out from his body, wrapping his body within, and formed a shield with all his strength. Clang! With the suppression of the conquering sacred bell, this unparalleled treasure emitted a terrifying and heavy aura as it crushed down. Under this terrifying and heavy aura, the demonic qi shield outside Mo Lingzi's body shattered inch by inch, peeling off like a wall. Finally, with a bang, it completely shattered, revealing his body that was covered by a hood. And at this time, Du Xiaoyao's palm followed closely behind, and fiercely slammed onto Mo Lingzi's chest. Boom! This terrifying palm was like the collapse of a part of the sky, and directly sent Mo Lingzi flying, smashing through the boundless void. A mouthful of black blood spurted out from the mouth under the hood, dragging a long trace in the air. Mo Lingzi's clothes on his chest were torn apart, revealing his flesh and blood. However, the hood that covered his head was still intact, and there was no way to see his true appearance. Kill! With Mo Lingzi injured, how could Du Tingxian let go of such an opportunity? As he was sent flying, his imposing figure rose into the air, and like a bolt of lightning, he rapidly swept over. At the same time, the lightning martial vein that occupied the void turned into a huge net, and was even faster than Du Tingxuan's speed. It directly covered Mo Lingzi's head. Purple lightning profound cauldron. Seeing Du Tingxuan's arrival, Mo Lingzi waved his hand while flying backward, and the two divine lightning cauldrons moved with a whistling sound. One of them rose into the air, and faced Du Tingxuan's lightning martial vein. The other one was held in his hand, and fiercely smashed down towards Du Tingxian who had already arrived in front of him. The two purple lightning profound cauldrons both dragged along terrifying purple gold lightning, and brazenly smashed down. Even with the purple lightning profound cauldron in your hand, you won't be able to escape death today. Du Tingxuan's spear pierced through the void, and turned into a lightning dragon. It roared as it rushed out, and fiercely collided with the purple lightning profound cauldron. Boom! Amidst the loud collision, the two colors of lightning instantly exploded. A fierce and overbearing aura surged in the void, sweeping across and destroying everything. At this moment, Mo Lingzi and Du Tingxian were both sent flying. However, at this moment, Du Yunlong and Du Xiaoyao followed up and attacked. The hallowed bell rang, and the huge golden palm moved through the air. The two attacks, one after the other, still landed on Mo Lingzi's body without any hindrance. Under the suppression of the hallowed bell, Mo Lingzi's body burst open, and demonic blood splashed out, sprinkling into the void. After that, Du Xiaoyao struck out with a palm, and once again sent him flying, causing him to spit out a long blood arrow. If the three of us can't deal with you, Mo Lingzi, then this world deserves to be occupied by the devil religion, and become a devil domain. Du Tingxian dragged his spear, and swiftly swept over. As he took step after step in the void, the battle intent and murderous aura all over his body also crazily rose. This time, Mo Lingzi suffered the joint attack of Du Xiaoyao and Du Yunlong, and was in an extremely difficult situation. How could he have the time to react? He didn't even have the time to use his devil qi to protect himself, and Du Tingxuan's spear had already arrived in front of him, aiming straight for his face. That fierce spear energy had yet to land, and it already caused Mo Lingzi to feel a piercing pain. At the same time, there was a fierce and invisible force that passed through his body, and invaded his primordial spirit. If he was really hit by this spear, even his primordial spirit would have a hard time escaping, and he would end up dying an unnatural death. In a hurry, Mo Lingzi could only fiercely twist his body, and tilt his neck back, in an attempt to dodge this spear that carried a murderous aura. However, under the swift and violent momentum of the spear, it still pierced through his black robe, and that fierce spear tip pierced his covered nose. Do you think you can dodge it? Seeing that his attack had hit, Du Tingxuan's spear suddenly changed from a straight stab to a horizontal sweep, with the intention of splitting Mo Lingzi's head apart. However, at this time, Mo Lingzi had already slightly recovered his strength. His feet abruptly stopped in the void, and his figure retreated to the side. Poof! Although this spear of Du Tingxuan's didn't have any effect, under the eruption of that unparalleled power, it released a terrifying and fierce aura that still streaked across the side of Mo Lingzi's face, leaving a deep wound on his face. At the same time, a qi-la sound could be heard. The robe on Mo Lingzi's head was swept by the spear aura, and it directly exploded into pieces. Immediately after, Mo Lingzi's true appearance was finally exposed under the light of day. It was a handsome face, but at this moment, it was completely pale. The tip of his nose and the side of his face were all injured by Du Tingxuan's spear. Fresh blood flowed out from the wounds, making him look extremely miserable. However, at this moment, there wasn't any miserable expression on this face. Especially that pair of ash-white eyes, there wasn't any fluctuation of life in them. They were greenish-gray, like a pool of stagnant water, without any ripples. When Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, and Du Tingxian saw this face, the attacks that they were brewing weren't able to land for a moment. It's him. With a single glance, Du Xiaoyao and Du Yunlong both recognized the identity of the person before them. The two of them exchanged glances with each other, both of them carrying some astonishment, and at the same time, some relief. Although they had already guessed Mo Lingzi's identity, when they truly saw him with their own eyes, they still felt astonished. You guys have finally gotten what you wanted. Aren't you very pleasantly surprised and surprised? Mo Lingzi gently turned his head and looked at Du Xiaoyao and Du Yunlong. Finally, his gaze stopped on Du Tingxian. The words that came out of his mouth were still so indifferent, as if there wasn't any emotion to speak of. It's really you. Du Tingxian stared blankly at Mo Lingzi's face. After a long while, he muttered to himself with a sense of loss. In fact, he had already expected this outcome. However, when the truth was revealed, he still couldn't accept it. This young man was the younger generation that he valued the most back then. For the sake of his cultivation path, how much had he sacrificed? Du Chang, you're a member of the Du household, and the blood of the Du family flows in your body. Why are you willing to be the lackey of the devil religion? Du Yunlong stepped forward and asked coldly. Du household, Du Chang. These two names had already been forgotten by people for many years. However, today, people had no choice but to remember them. The Mo Lingzi in front of them was precisely the most outstanding talent of the younger generation of the Du household, and the number one talent of the entire Stone Dragon Empire, Du Chang. In his body, the blood of the Du family flowed, and he even had awakened the lightning martial vein. Who would have thought that as a descendant of the Du family, with the lightning martial vein engraved by the heavenly Tao, he was willing to be controlled by the devil god and go against the Du family in every aspect. This caused people to feel bitterly disappointed. It was precisely because of this that all these years, the people of the Du family wanted to uncover this person's true identity and reveal it to the world. They just wanted to see which descendant of the Du family would actually do such a thing of forgetting their ancestors. At this moment, when Mo Lingzi's true body appeared, Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, and Du Tingxian felt indescribable grief and indignation in their hearts. Du household. Du family bloodline. Should I call you Uncle Tingxian? Ha. Mo Lingzi chuckled, but his expression didn't seem to have any fluctuations. He only said indifferently, everything I have today was given to me by the devil religion. How I want to do things is not up to you guys to tell me what to do. His tone was extremely dull. Even when facing Du Tingxian, there wasn't the slightest fluctuation, as if he was facing an unrelated person. Du Chang. Du Tingxian recovered from his initial grief and indignation, and suddenly shouted, if you can realize your mistake and turn back today, I can make the decision to spare your life. Du Tingxian looked at Mo Lingzi with a burning gaze, his eyes carrying a hopeful expression. He truly hoped that the youth opposite him would agree to his request, even though he knew that it was almost impossible. However, there was still some unwillingness in his heart. No matter what, there was an inseparable relationship between him and Du Chang. Back then, Tianwu Academy's talisman department used the countless spirit herbs and heavenly treasures that Tianwu Academy had collected over the years. In addition, all the experts in the talisman department worked together to refine a single, mighty emperor pellet after 3 whole years. In the end, it was stolen by Du Tingxian and given to the young Du Chang to consume. A single, mighty emperor pellet helped Du Chang to establish his foundation and pave his cultivation path. In the end, he became the most talented person among his peers in the entire Stone Dragon Empire. It was also because of this that Du Tingxian was placed at the top of Tianwu Academy's bounty list. Furthermore, the first set of martial skills that Du Chang cultivated was also taught by Du Tingxian. If there wasn't Du Tingxian, there wouldn't be the Du Chang from back then. In fact, in the depths of Du Chang's heart, he was extremely grateful to his uncle Tingxian. When he saw Du Tingxuan's family being besieged by people of legalism and was unable to help, he felt guilty for over 10 years. However, back then, the devil religion suddenly attacked the Du residents. The king and Du Chang disappeared together and were taken away by the devil religion. After that, the young man in front of him used a hood to conceal his true appearance. He used the identity of Mo Lingzi to walk the world and serve the devil religion. When facing his uncle Tingxian, he could mercilessly make a move and become enemies of life and death, disregarding the kindness of the past. What a good way to mend one's ways. Should I cripple my own cultivation first to show my sincerity? Mo Lingzi's ash-white eyes indifferently stared at Du Tingxian as he spoke. Although his tone was indifferent and calm, it wasn't hard to hear the strong sense of ridicule within. Du Chang. You. Du Tingxian raised his thunder dragon spear and glared. He couldn't wait to stab the young man in front of him to death. Back then, in the entire Du residence, Du Chang was the younger generation that he valued the most. He also did his best to help him. However, he didn't expect that the little fellow with outstanding talent back then would now stand on the opposite side of him and become a loyal lackey of the devil religion. He was his enemy, the Du family's enemy, and the entire tricontinent Kyushu's enemy. His identity as Mo Lingzi could be said to be the shame of the entire Du family. It was also a blasphemy to the Du family's ancestor who fell to suppress the demon god. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.